Okay, we're going to start with this course dedicated for those who want to upgrade their skills and who want to make a better living. So this is the fundamentals. We're going to go from practical ethical hacking with Linux from zero to pen tester. So basically, I'm gonna teach you or explain you from the beginning how to set up your virtual environment. We're going to go to introduction. What is ethical hacking, for example? What you will learn, how the labs works. Lesson 1.2 will be why hackers use Linux, why Linux dominates cybersecurity, Kali Linux philosophy, advantages over Windows, basic Linux terminology. On module 2, we're going to see Kali Linux setup, like how to download Kali, install VirtualBox, create virtual machines, network configurations, and so on and so on. Right? And lesson 2.2 will be inside Kali Linux. We're going to go to desktop environment, like the user interface, tools menu, file structures overview, and so on. On module 3, we're going to see Linux fundamentals, like Linux file system structure, /home, /etc/var, /bin, /usr or user, and so on. This is the structure. I'm going to be adding more modules to it. So pretty much this is what we're going to see in this course. And I'm going to start teaching you from the beginning to the end. Like, for example, lesson 5.2, it will be file and permission management. Module 6, lab environment and setup. We're going to see download Metasploitable, which is a vulnerable design and operating system. So it has web apps where we can do testing and where we can pretty much go through all the exercise. We're going to do reconnaissance and scanning with Mmap network scanning, host discovery, port scanning, service detection, and so on. Module 8, we're going to explain explanation of frameworks, like Metasploit framework, architecture modules, exploits, payloads, sessions, and so on. Module 9, we're going to do web application attacks with Burst Essentials. All of this is free versions. Proxy setup, intercepted traffic, and modifying cookies, and so on. Repeat intruders. And then on lesson 9, we're going to see SQL injection with SQL map, databases detection, dumping data, bypassing protections. On module 10, fuzzing techniques. We're going to do web fuzzing, parameters, word list, filtering results, automation, private escalation. On module 11, Linux privilege escalation, we're going to see enumeration, SUA files, kernel exploits, misconfigurations. On module 12, we're going to see practical hacking labs. Like first, real hacking lab, pre-can exploit, post-exploitation, and cleanup. Then we're going to do learning resources, next and steps, free hacking resources, practice platforms, community certifications, and roadmap. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, the first thing I'm going to teach you how to do is, okay, in module 1, it's about introduction to ethical hacking. So welcome to this course on ethical hacking and cybersecurity fundamentals. My name is Martin, and in this course or program, you will start your journey into the world of cybersecurity using real tools, real environments, and real methodologies used by professionals. This course is designed for beginners, but also for people who want to truly understand how the system works, how attacker thinks, and how to protect digital assets in a smart and legal way. So I'm going to take you on it. I'm going to be reading it as I keep explaining you how we're going to do the course. Here you won't just watch, you will be built, test, and analyze, and secure systems step by step. By the end of this training, you will not only understand hacking, you will understand security mindsets. What you will learn in this course, you will learn how ethical hackers think and work, how to use Linux for cybersecurity, how to set up professional virtual labs that will be seen in module 2, how to network systems and services operate, and services up, how to vulnerabilities and or discover, how to analyze and protect the environment. You also will move from theory to practice using tools like Kali Linux and control labs environments. This is not about breaking systems, it's about understanding them to secure them. Please comprehend that, brothers. Okay, and then how the labs works. Okay, all practice in this course is done inside virtual environments. That means you will not attack real systems, you will not damage your computer. Everything runs safely inside VirtualBox. We use isolated machines where you can experiment freely, learn from mistakes, and build confidence without risk. Think of it as your personal cybersecurity background. Plus, you will learn faster and when you are allowed to test safely. Why hackers use Linux? Now, that's very important too, to understand. Why Linux dominates cybersecurity? Well, Linux is the operating system of choice for cybersecurity professionals. Why? Because Linux gives you full system control, powerful network tools, high stability, automation capabilities, transparency, and security. Most servers, firewalls, cloud systems, and security tools are based on Linux. If you understand Linux, you can understand the backbone of the internet. Now, Kali Linux philosophy. Kali Linux is a special Linux distribution built for security testing, and that's what we're going to go through in this course. Its philosophy is simple: provide professionals with ready-to-use tools for auditing, testing, and securing systems. Kali includes hundreds of tools for scanning, exploitation, forensics, wireless testing, web security, network analysis, and so on and so on. Instead of installing everything manually, Kali gives you a complete security lab out of the box. It's not made for daily browsing. It's not made for daily browsing. It is made for professional security work. You got that, brother? You got that? For professional security work. There are those that use it for the purpose, but in this case, we are talking about professional security work. Okay, now, advantages over Windows. While Windows is great for daily use, Linux and Kali provide advantages for cybersecurity. Native terminal power, for example, better scripting support, more security tools, less system overhead, full customization. Linux allows you to work closer to the system core, which is exactly what security professional needs. In cybersecurity, control is power. Oh yeah, baby, control, it is indeed power. Okay, now on lesson 1.3, basics Linux terminology. Before working with tools, you must understand the language of Linux. Let's cover the basics. Kernel, what is kernel? Okay, a kernel. The kernel is the core of the operating system. It controls hardware, memory, processes, and devices. Everything communicates through the kernel. It's the bridge between software and hardware. Without the kernel, nothing runs. Nothing runs. Now, what is a shell? A shell is the interface between you and the system. It allows you to type commands and control Linux directly. Examples of shell. The most used is bash, but we got this shell and this shellfish, and I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, I apologize, but English is my second language, so it should be like fish. I don't know. When you open a terminal, you're talking to the shell. This is where hackers and administrators work most of the time. Okay. Now, what is a distribution? A distro. A distribution is a full Linux system built around the kernel. Examples: Kali Linux is a distribution. Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora. Each distro has different goals. Kali goals is security testing. In other words, for penetrating testers or hackers. Package manager. Okay. The package manager installs and updates software. In Kali, you use apt. It allows you to install tools, update programs, remove packages. Instead of downloading random installers, Linux uses secure repositories. This keeps your system clean and controlled. You gotta play it. You got it. Okay, now root versus user. Linux separates power for safety. User, normal permissions. Root, full system control. Root can modify everything. That's why ethical hackers must understand when and how to use root safety. Power without control leads to damage. And that's true. Security is about responsibility. Now, lesson 2.1. See, this will be on the next one. The moment we will stop there and we will continue. So I'm gonna close this tab. I'm gonna take you to. This is the tool I use for editing and stuff I want to do, erase, whatever, right? So this is your virtual environment. I have Windows 10, for example. I have Unix for being more anonymous, for example. This is Windows personal. When I want to go into the internet, sometimes I just use this one most of the time. And for example, my computer gets infected, a Trojan or something contaminates my computer. I just come and reset it, and boom, everything's clean. That way I don't affect my main host. Metasploitable. This is a vulnerable operating system that we're going to be using for testing, to do pen test on, to do scanning, exploitation, and so on and so on and so on. This Linux, in lesson 2 or module 2, I'm going to teach you how to install both Linux, ISO, and the pre-configured version that in this case is a virtual machine. So in this one you can personalize your name, how much gigabytes of memory you want, everything, partitions and everything. So this is from scratch, and this is pre-configured. This is pretty much everything is, even the name is already Kali with the password and so on, for those of you who want something simple and easy. So let's go into Linux. Okay, let me open Linux, Kali Linux. This is my Kali. It's a automated one. It takes a while depending on the resources of your machine. I got a laptop with 8 gigabytes. It's enough for me to do these courses, but and to do my pen testing, to have my labs. But for those of you who got better resources, better equipment, it's more fantastic. But if you don't, then just keep going. Don't stop. Nothing should stop you, except the excuses you use. So you keep at it, even if you don't got the resources. So let's go Kali. And that's how it's gonna come when you open it. And there we go, Kali. I have it like this because I was teaching you how to do it. And in the second module, I'm gonna teach you how to configure all this. So for the moment, we leave the video here. So peace out, love you, brothers and sisters. My name is Marlon, so it's always a pleasure. Bye-bye. First of all, we're going to download Kali Linux. Okay? The Kali Linux setup is going to be something like this. For example, I already have all this set up. I have Windows ISO files, so I have Windows machines. One is for personal use. This is for personal use. Like if I want to go into internet, I use it. If I get a Trojan or infect, I just go to the baseline and it's like new again. This is for when I do pen testing exercises. So this is all virtual. We don't hack nobody. We don't interfere with nobody's devices. Everything is within your own network. So I'm going to teach you how to set it up, how to configure it, and so it's safe for you and safe for others. So let's go. We're going to download Kali Linux. I'm going to teach you how to download both the ISO file and the virtual machine. So first thing first, we go to Kali.org, Kali.org, and then you go to downloads. We have the installer image and the virtual box. What's the difference between both of them? Well, this already has everything automated. Like for example, it already comes pre-configured with 2 gigabytes of memory, ROM memory. It has all pre-configured everything pretty much. And this one you got to do it yourself. You got to do the partitions. But I'm gonna teach you in both ways because you can personalize it in a way that you can change things. You can do this, but they are different. But pretty much you can do. You can personalize it here too. But so I'm gonna teach you. So the first thing, let's install the installer. Okay. Now you got to know. For my laptop is architecture 64. So if you want to know what's yours, you go to equipment, for example. I got Windows as on mine. And for example, you go to properties. And in properties, it tells you what's your architecture. And mine, for example, it's as you can see, 64 architecture. And it tells you everything pretty much here. Okay. So the main idea of this is so you can go step by step, so you can learn the process. I would like for you to get a nice job. I would like for you to aim to earn at least $10,000 a month, and it with a remote job. In order to get to that point, you must have the skills necessary to or the product, since we are directly proportional to what we know, right, or what we offer. So if you offer, for example, a service that not that many people can provide, you can earn or you can pay very, very good. So let's say, okay, this is what we can install, and then we go for the download. So let's say here you ask me where you want to install it. In my case, I already have all this. So let me teach you. Okay, in my case, sorry for that. I already have this in my equipment, right? This is my desktop and Kali cores. So over here, I already downloaded all of this. So I'm gonna teach you how to download it. First, we download Kali Linux. Kali Linux comes in 7-zip file. So if you download it, then you gotta open it. So, but I'm gonna teach you anyway how to do it, and I'm gonna stop it. Okay. So we go for download it. Over here, you can select where you want it. See, you can select where you want it, whatever. This C, this D. In my case, say D. I have set it up like that because if you go to, like, I'm gonna teach you, for example, my equipment, for example, it's a lot of space for me in this D, so I put it like that. But you can put it anywhere you feel comfortable. Okay, depending on your resources, right? So now that you know that, we're gonna finish downloading. So save, and it will start downloading. See? Now that's Kali Linux, and then this ISO file. Then you gotta download the virtual machine since you're already here. So we wait depending how fast your connection is to internet. That's how quick it will be downloaded, and depending how many gigabytes of memory RAM also that depends, and that's how quick it's gonna be downloaded. Okay, another thing, since we're gonna use if you notice here, and if you notice here, for example, I go to desktop. In desktop, I have all the things or tools I need. So for Kali Linux, you're gonna have to download 7-zip. in order to unpack Kali Linux 7-zip. Right now we downloaded the installer. We don't need to unpack that. So when it's already downloaded, I'm going to teach you how to create everything from start, how to install a virtual machine using the ISO file. And this one is already, this one you will need the 7-zip for. So let's go again and see how, you see, my connection is not that fast. So it might take a while. So it depends on your equipment. So next thing we're going to do is 7-zip. We'll go 7-zip. I use Chrome, for example. You can use whatever navigation browser you like. So over here we go 7-zip. Now 7-zip downloads really quick. So depending on which operating system you use, like I use Windows. So for Windows I use this download 64-bit architecture. This is smaller, but it's not good for me. So this is the one you should download. Okay. Now since that, now let's download VirtualBox. VirtualBox.org. Official site. There we go. So you download the official site. VirtualBox. You go to the download. Yes. Okay. Now, like I said, I already have this, so I'm gonna stop it, and I'm gonna continue downloading now the virtual machine. Now for virtual machine, depending on what you're using, since I'm using VirtualBox, see now that you go to downloads, since my host machine is Windows. Windows is my main operating system, so in this case, we're gonna download VirtualBox. Now, what is VirtualBox? VirtualBox gives you the opportunity, or adds as a virtualized environment. I mean, you can download it over it's a hypervisor, so you can download any computer operating system into that. For example, my host is Windows, right? So I'm gonna download Windows. But after that, if I want to download Kali Linux, it's another operating system, and I can virtual and operate the system as if it were another computer, right? With that operating system, without installing it in my main computer on my laptop. So in this case, we download this one. See, I have this D, so I download it. Now, so I'm having both of them, Kali Linux, VirtualBox, and then we're gonna go for Kali Linux VirtualBox over here. We're not using VM, we're using VirtualBox, right? So we're gonna download this one and save. We'll be starting with the download. Sorry about that. Okay, later on I'm gonna teach you how to download Metasploitable. I have it over here too. Metasploitable comes in a zip file. Like I said, I'm recording this using OBS Studio. By the way, I apologize since my English is second language, so there will be some pronunciations not properly, or I might stutter a little bit, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna get the message or whatever I'm trying to share with you. This is my roadmap to freedom, and I hope it becomes a way of helping you in the way to find financial freedom too. It's really complicated when you're born in a world that is not made for the common man, really. I mean, when you're born into a family that doesn't have much resources, economic, financially resources. So how do you pay yourself a computer science degree? How do you do this when you don't have much money? So you go work every day, you work every day, but you don't manage to do nothing. You can barely cover man's teeth, right? I mean, you can hardly cover your necessities. So it's really complicated to live in a situation like that. How do you overcome this? In my case, I am a mechanic, so let me show you. Mechanic. Let me see if I can find the microphone. So I am an electromechanic, but the money is not that good when you're just an employer. If you're the owner, obviously it's a lot of money here. Okay. So I put it there to see if I can find. This is the works I do. So, but like I said, I need to find a way to get my family out of this situation that I can just hardly eat. So I decided to do landscaping. Meanwhile, I'm working to become the greatest version of myself. So I have this as a career. I'm a technician. I learn by seeing and studying and researching. So I do this job. So see, it's a lot of it. I have many of them. Anyway, so for years I've been learning this discipline, and I want to, for one, let me cut it off because I already have it, and I want to share with you what I've been learning for many years. But since I wanted to find a job and I don't have that many certifications, I just started taking corporate certification, cybersecurity professional. So in order to help me bypass the human resources filter, but in reality, what I really think matters is the knowledge you have. So this is how we can do. So when you already have the ISO file, this is VirtualBox. So how you open VirtualBox? Okay, so you go over here. After you download it, we have VirtualBox over here. So I say open, and when open, we'll install. It might ask you that in order to install VirtualBox, you need to download. You also need to download this VC with this. Okay, it requires it. So you need to go into your browser and find your distribution for Windows. Something like that. Official site, and here it is. Like I said, I'm a Spanish speaking individual, so everything my browser is in Spanish. But when we go into the class, it will be in English. Okay, it will be everything in English. So after you open VirtualBox, it will look like this. Okay, and so let's create the first ISO file, the first Kali machine from the beginning. This is the ISO, right? Let me create another one. So, let me teach you a bit how this is the file system, machines, snapshot. This make you create a copy, properties, settings. I will teach you how to use this, but this is what you gotta do, right? So first, we create another machine. So we go into machines, new one, and we're gonna call it Kali 3. Knowing that this is ISO, I'm just gonna use ISO like that. I will leave it in the default folder. Now he asked me for the image. This is what we downloaded the installer. So we go other. I know I have it in the C file, so I go to the D file and download folder in the D file. But in my case, I didn't download it, right? So obviously it's not gonna be there. So I'm gonna use the one that I already have. In this case, it's desktop. So I'm gonna use Kali course. Wait a minute. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, let's select other. This is the ISO file like I was mentioning, so we use that. See? Now operating system is Linux, and automatically picks it up. Then we go to setup on internet gas, nothing. Over here, for example, we gotta give the machine enough RAM. So I leave it in two in this case. Maybe I'm going to 3. Just in this case, I don't have much RAM. I only have 6 gigabytes. But since I don't run all the equipment at the same time, I can do that. And that's it for this purpose. So it could be faster, right? So over here, this is the hardware. How many CPUs? I use 2 out of 4 because I gotta leave my host with some resources. And then we go to over here. See, Kali 3. We know it has a couple of gigas, 3 gigas, for example. So over here in automatic, we can leave 25 gigabytes, or we can push it to 50, for example, like that. So I leave it 25. Okay. And then as we keep downloading apps and updating and upgrading, this will be growing. So you can change it later. So we do it and we finish. And this is Kali 3. Now I can run this equipment already, but before that, we're gonna go to settings. We're gonna go into general, for example. It says your name, but features. If you want to copy, make it like, for example, you want to copy from your host to the virtual machine. You want to copy something like when I use artificial intelligence, for example, I use my virtual machines on my host. I use bidirectional. But in this case, leave it like that. Later on, I'm going to teach you how to do changes. So then we go into descriptions, nothing, this, nothing. So we go system. Into system, we already did this, and processor, we already did that too. And acceleration, okay, display. Now memory, you should give out the most, like that. And on networks, I want you to do changes. For example, you need to do this host only adapter, like that. Yes. And what this means is that nobody in your network can see this virtual machine. Nobody. But you won't have access to internet either. They cannot see you, they cannot scan you, but you won't have access to internet either. So you can leave it in NAT. If it's going to be your Kali Linux, you can create 2 NAT for updates and upgrade. And then on adapter 2, you can create host only adapter. What this does, it creates a virtual IP that is not. Also, this one, both of them create a network virtual network. Both of them, but one connects to internet is isolated from our local network. It doesn't have for example, let me show you. Like in my computer, for example, say if I run ipconfig, see, it tells you my IP is this. But so let's close that for the moment. Okay, let me do another one. ipconfig. I want to see my DNS. Okay, see, I use Cloudflare as a DNS. Now you can use also. So we have both like that. Now what happens if you use this one? If you use, for example, bridge adapter, you will get an IP as the one I just showed you. So this virtual machine, it will be in your network. Like it will have an IP like mine's 13 at the end. So yours could be, since it's in the same network, my router gives it an IP that could be 15 from 2 to 254. It could be one of those, but in the same network. So if somebody scans from outside, they can find this unit. If this unit is vulnerable, they can come through it and take over your network. Do lateral movements, privilege escalation, so on and so on. So let me take this out. I don't need that. So let's say I will use NAT for upgrade and updates, and this is when I want to hack into this unit. I'll do my. So let's start it. It will take a while depending on the resources of your equipment. Like if you have 16, 32, 64 gigabytes of memory, you can give more to your virtual machines and it will work. So we press enter in graphical interface. Let me expand this so you can see it more. And we're going to go into the process of installation. So what's your language? In my case, I'm going to use English. So you can comprehend when I'm sharing with you knowledge and teaching what how to do this. Continue. I'm working English, yes. And like I said, it will take a couple of minutes. And it will go step by step. I will leave it here so you can see how all components gets installed. So you're going to have to do step by step. Like over here it says, the system has multiple network interfaces. Choose the one to use as the primary network interface. Like remember, I used 2. For example, I used one that it was designed for NATs, and the other one that was designed for which was a host adapter. So let's go for NAT for the moment. Let's continue. Now he said, please enter the host name of this system. So let's leave it as Kali, or whatever name you want to use. So I can go back and put it, for example, Kali 3. Kali 3. Continue. Domain name, let's leave it as Kali 3 too. Kali 3. Full name for the user, let's use Kali 3, just for explanation purposes. And then the setup user and password. Also, let's leave it as Kali 3. Now password over here too, let's do. You create your own password. Just remember, otherwise you won't go in. Okay, continue. Apologize for the background noise. But yeah, so this might take, like I said, a while for you to set it up. But the main idea here is to teach you how to do it. And then we're going to go into the structure of the course. So like, let's say Arizona. Continue. It's pretty straightforward, but over here, I want you to learn how to do it from scratch. I also will teach you how to format or to install Windows ISO. For one is because when you do testings or you like computers, you end up doing a lot of mistakes and messing the system. So you have to format it and reinstall. So in this case, we're not going to use partitions because this is a virtual machine. If it was a personal, perhaps we create different partitions. So in this case, we're going to select a guided use inside of this. Continue. Okay. Hard disk 26.8. Yes, that's the one. Continue. Okay, we're going to do this. In this case, it says select for partition. We select recommended for new users and continue. Finish partition writing changes to this. Yes, undo changes. Yes. In this case, it says if you continue changes listed below will be written to the disk. Okay, we continue. Yes, and we keep waiting. This is the process it takes. At the beginning, everything seems complicated. So I want you to understand that nobody wants knowing everything. So we got to learn from our environment. We learn from one person from the other. Especially we learn and adjust to what we like. Like I was saying before, the main reason I'm creating this course is because I want a better life for me and my family, but also for those of you who lives around the world in similar situations. We all know that most of the world live in poverty and necessity and need. So I see this as if you're born in the underworld, for example. You come to this world and you're just born in a situation. Some of us have fathers and mothers, others we don't. But what happens when you're born in a situation when you hardly have enough to eat, that you don't have the resources to have a better life? So pretty much you're born into a game as a pawn. If you ever play a chess game, you will realize that it's very similar to life. Very, very. People, like in that game, is power structure. You have the king, the queen, the highest rank. You have the rooks, which are generals, for example. You have bishops and so on and so on. And then you have the pawns. And the pawns are the ones who always get sacrificed. Okay, let me continue. So over here, it tells you, and by default, it's pre-configured to set this up. And we play continue because this is pretty much all we need. Continue. So yeah, like I was saying, as a pawn, you have to go forward. So you're the one who always got to do the hard work. But I want to use this as an example that even the lowest piece in the game can become the strongest. A pawn can become a queen. The queen is the strongest piece in the chess game. In this world, a hacker or a pen tester is one of the strongest, I mean literally strongest and powerful piece in life game. Why? Because as a hacker or as a pen tester, you have the power to create so much good, to defend organizations, resources, to defend people, to create so much benefits for others. Or you have the power to just hack and do damage to others. I mean, but you have power. So in this case, I would like you to understand that power has a responsibility. In my case, I believe that if I can do something, if I can prove that I have the knowledge, I can find a good way of living. And this is my ticket out. So I hope you see it that way too. And at the end, the skills you're going to learn in this course is just amazing. Down the line, I'll teach you how to take control of servers, how to hack into databases, how to upload malicious files in low, medium, and high security. I'm going to teach you how to create backdoors, persistence as part of a pen tester. Because a pen tester is actually just a hacker. A hacker could be a good or bad, like a lawyer. A lawyer is just a lawyer. What he does with his knowledge is up to him. So as a hacker, you could be a good hacker, so as a pen tester, for example, white hackers they call it, or you could be a black hacker and use your skills for your own benefits, for your own agenda, for whatever passions you, right? But everything has consequences in this world, so I will tell you to keep yourself in the straight line. Okay, now we need to say yes over here to install the grub bootloader. This is when you have different operating system and they ask if you want, for example, Windows or Linux. But for some reason, if you don't say yes, it gives you a problem later. So let's say yes, okay? We're not gonna have both operating system in this virtual machine, but to avoid that, we continue. We use this one. We use this one. We continue, and it's finishing install. This takes a while, so when you do this, it might take you a while, depending on your hardware system. Maybe into 30 minutes to an hour, all this process. But I want you to learn how to install the virtual machine and the installer of the ISO. This is the ISO one, or you can put your name. You can add different stuffs. In the graphic ways, you can add your passwords and so on. All the process we already seen. Remember? So that's how it goes. So we wait until it's finished, and then we're going to go into the next step. Then I'm going to teach you how to create also a virtual machine with the Kali that we downloaded, but not the ISO file. Like this one. This one is the ISO, right? Like this one, for example, is ISO. But this is the Kali Linux that already comes with all the presets. You don't have to do nothing pretty much. You only open the file. So when you download Kali Linux, for example, go over here. When you download the file in Kali Linux for virtual machine, it will download as a 7-zip. After it's already downloaded, you gotta install it. So you gotta unpack first. Okay, you have to unpack this. So you open it and open with. In my case, I use like I said, 7-zip. With 7-zip, I said, but first you gotta download it and you have to install 7-zip in your machine, and then it gives you the opportunity to say with what software you want to open. So you unpack this file, you unpack, and it will look like this afterwards. It will open it up. It will give you this too, and some other stuff. But I got 3 because I have different machines. So in this case, it's like that. But when it is, you gotta open the file. You press twice in this, and automatically will open in VirtualBox. Afterwards, but it automatically creates its own machine. It will pop up and will be just like this one. But afterwards, we're gonna go into configurations. So let me see if this is already finished. So installation is complete. Let's say continue. So reboot, and we continue with the rest. So now it's starting my machine. Okay, we press enter. Oh, and automatically after 4 seconds, it will open it up. So it's like that. And this is Kali. This is Kali. We're gonna go through a whole process of how to use Kali. So in this case, I think it was Kali 3, and I think the password was okay. Password, and it's open Kali. Okay, this is Kali. Now to make it bigger, you go into full screen mode. Like for example, like in this case, if I switch, it will switch to bigger. But then again, you have to press Control F, right control, the one that you got on the right, and F to command, then you press cancel. So let's go like this so you can learn how. See, in this case, see, I don't see nothing more, so I press Control F, and like that. So let's make it full screen mode, for example. It says display mode, adjust to window size, and like that. You can play and see how it goes. Okay, up to resize. So afterwards, you do that, you play with it, and now I'm gonna teach you how to download virtual machine, the other one. Okay, Control F, you make it bigger. Control F. So I'm gonna teach you how to download the other one. And Control F. So that's all, so you can understand how it goes. This is how it will look. Okay, for the moment I'm not gonna go into this, so I don't confuse you. This is the ISO. But let's go. Let's say you want to go. Here it tells you all the applications you have. Like for example, you want to change how it looks. You can find from consent tools to exploitation or exfiltration, privilege escalation, persistence. There are so many tools over here. So let's go for example for resolution. Let's say when you open it up, your resolution is not good. So you go to usual settings, and in settings then you go to display, and in display you can put the resolution that you want. Resolution, for example, I use this one as a default. I like that, so you can see bigger the screen. Okay. Then later on, for example, if we can change, even this, you can change the colors of it. So for the moment, I'm gonna shut this down. Then I'm gonna teach you step by step. So let's shut this down. Shut down. So now let's open Kali. Now I cannot open Kali because I already have one, but I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do. So if you go to, like I was saying over here, if you go like this, it will open your Kali Linux like that. It says cannot open machine because I already have this machine over here. See, for the moment. But that's how you, afterwards, for example, open set it up, it will give it to you like that, completely with all the presets. Then you go to settings. In settings, for example, you can change the name. Operating system, you know, is that memory base, like memory base. You can go into system and you can change it to whatever you want. Like right, this one is 3 gigs and something, right? And then you go to display, you put it 128 megabytes for video memory. Let me see over here. Yeah. For processors, I use 2. Like I say, it depends on how much resources you have in your host machine. For network, we use, like in my case, this is the Kali I use for hacking or for my testing labs experiments. So I have a host adapter in this one right now, see? So I can connect to these machines because they are in the same. So let's open this one up so you can see. So, okay. After you configure, like I said, use host only adapter. Now, if you're going to use for later down the line, we're going to have to update. So you can go over here and create NAT. It's probably like a bridge NAT. We have both. See, bridge adapter? No, this is bridge adapter. Let's leave it to it. So I can explain you this. I can explain you how it works. So let's put that. And then we start this machine. So it has on networks. It has 3 different IPs, I can say. So I'm explaining it to you when we are in front of it. So this is the virtual machine. So enter. Now this I already have it configured. So the screen is bigger because I have it already over here. I have adjusted so it's big. Okay. Oh shit. What? God, this different. Since I have so many fucking machines, I forget that. I think over here it's just Kali. Yeah, Kali. Yeah, that's the problem when you have so many machines, you forget the passwords. So make sure your password is saved when you have it. See how you see in comparison to the other one I show you, this is different. These are similar to Windows. Why? Because I did changes over here. Like for example, you go to settings and we go to appearance. This is the default, but you can change. For example, check this out. You can change the different colors. See? In this case, there are different kind of colors. You can do orange, for example, and you see changes. In my case, I have it as normal. I think I have Kali. Let's leave it like that. But on fonts, on icons, I have Windows 10 because you can change it to. You can change this. You see? I believe that it's easier for you guys if you have it similar to your own, similar to Windows, since is the computer, the operating system that we mostly use. So you can see how everything is seen. Okay, for right now, this is all for the moment. Oh, I just want to teach you this. I want to explain you about the IPs, your network configuration, how it looks. If config, let's make it there. You see, we have one. In this case, we have it running on NAT. See, NAT is running. But we have, depending where I want to go. So the first one is host adapter, host only. And you see it has 192.168 over here. 192.168, that's 56.102. That's NAT, host only adapter. That's the IP when you want to do your hacking to the machine. In this case, that's now adapter bridge adapter. As you can see, it has 192.168, that's 100.28. And adapter 3 is NAT. You see 10.04, 10.04.4, 15. So if you go to my Windows host machine and I execute, I want to see, for example, my IP config. Instead of it over here is IP config. /o because I want to see all. And as you can see, my IP is 13. So now in this bridge adapter over here, we can actually, the bridge adapter is connected to the same network. So if you download Kali or Metasploitable, for example, that is an operating system that is designed to be vulnerable, then it's a big problem because if somebody knows how to, or is doing your scan, or is scanning your local network, they can find all them open ports and vulnerable, and they can get into your systems through lateral movements. But I guess we can talk about that later on. This is made explainable. Afterwards, it comes like this. I'm going to teach you later on how to download it. For the moment, that's it. Okay, we can talk about it later. I'm not going to go into details. But at the moment, that's what I wanted to show you. I guess we talk on the next session of this course. So peace out. Okay, we're going to start with the next lesson. So now we have installed Kali Linux, both of them, the ISO one and the one that is pre-configured. So before we open this, I want to go to settings. I want to show you something. I like to have it here bidirectional. So if I want to copy something from my host machine, I can copy into my virtual one. Like for example, something from ChatGPT or image or something. So you go over here and you press bidirectional. Okay. Now on the networks, I have NAT to update, to go to internet, to navigate. When you have it on NAT, nobody can see this machine on your local network because it has a virtual network independent from your local network. Okay. And here, this is completely isolated when you do your pen testing examples. This is how we're going to do it so you could be in a safe environment. So your equipment or your virtual machines are not seen by no one outside your host adapter only. So now if I use this for example and I go to bridge adapter, now this one is going to create an IP like I mentioned the other day. I was explaining you that it will give you an IP in your local network. Like this for example. Like the one I have over here. See mine is over here. My IP is 14, for example. So that's my local IP. So I'm gonna leave it like that so you can see. So after that we leave it like that and we'll start the machine. On this lesson, we're going to go and I'm going to take you step by step on the graphic user interface of Kali, so you can learn to navigate yourself and get a feeling of how it is. Since when we usually start, we pretty much only know perhaps only Windows or Mac OS, depending on which operating system you are used to. In my case, I got a laptop, but my host operating system is Windows. So on Windows, for example, excuse me. Okay, user, and we start Kali. As you can see, it opens up. On the last video, I was showing you that in order to get full screen, you gotta go to auto resize and then log out and then go back in, and then when you come back, if you do full screen mode, it will give you a full screen like this. See, it will give you a full screen like that. Control F, so you can get yourself up. Now, make sure you also insert guest efficiency image, so you can do this. Okay. Now let's go. So when you start, this is Kali. I was telling you that I have it like this because you can do all them changes. But let's start from the beginning. Okay. So you go to, in order to do them changes, you go to use your applications, you go to settings, and in settings you go to appearance, for example, appearance. Over here, as you can see, I got Windows 10. But if I put another one, this will change. This will change. Like for example, Kali dark, for example. This will change to other colors, high contrast. See, and so on. So I'm gonna leave it to you. Let's say dark orange. It changes. See. Okay. Now if you go to icons, for example, I got Windows also. That's why it looks like Windows. But if I want to put this one, for example, it goes back to normal. That's how it came pre-configured. So I'm gonna leave it on Windows 10 because for you guys, I think it will be easier to comprehend. See, like if I go, for example. Close this. If I go for example to my local machine, I go to my equipment, I got the same scene, downloads, documents, desktop, music, videos, and so on. This C and this D. Okay, let me close that. Now over here is the same thing pretty much. If you go to home, you got desktop, downloads, documents, music, pictures, and so on. See, check. If we open that, it will be like that. Okay, let me close that. So this is how it goes. It's similar and it will be easier for you guys to navigate at the beginning. Later on you can play with it or you can set whatever feels comfortable for you. As you see, this is like a notepad. Like for example, in Windows we use notepad usually most of the times. So that's that for now. Now here it will tell you everything. Now, another thing I'm trying to explain you, when you first set it up, when you start your engine, your resolution might not be something that you like. So you can go over here, you go to settings, and then you go to display, for example, display, and you put the resolution that is proper for your eyes. At this moment I have this resolution because I can see good, the video shows good, it's big enough, so you can see over here if you change the scale, it will be bigger or smaller, which is up to you. For the moment I can leave it like that. So I close. Another thing, also, it might happen to you. I got a laptop, I don't have a PC or a desktop, so when I press twice on my laptop, the sensitivity is not that good. So I go to, for example, I go over here, usually I go to configurations, and then I go to mouse and touchpad. And over here I can change the speed, like if I want the sensitivity, acceleration, sensitivity, and so on. You can do whatever, right? And you can change behaviors, double click, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can play with it. Now you can also go over here, let's do this, tour preferences. Like over here you can, if you go to behavior, for example, display, you can double click, for example, you see, on behavior. Like if you want it on one click, you can do one click. This, for example, shows that if you go over an image, how long before it picks it up, right? So you want to disable, I can disable it. So I wanted to leave it like that, double click. So you can play with it and configure to your whatever you like, right? So let's continue over here. Over here is where you find all your apps. Like Linux is pre-configured with everything. Like on reconnaissance, like you have reconnaissance, initial access, tools, execution, persistence, privilege escalation, defense, evasion. It's a lot of power over here. I'm not going to teach you how to go each tool or each app, but for example, you go to reconnaissance, right? And you want to open, let's say MAP. Okay, MAP will open up over here. It will tell you the commands, what it does, what information required, and so on. Like it will tell you how to do what each letter, how to set it up. This is when you want to do when you want to scan a website or a local network, whatever you want to scan, you can do it with Mmap. Mmap is a very powerful tool. I'm going to teach you how to use it on the latest module. For right now, it's just a purpose. I'm teaching you over here examples. So if we go back over here, you can find anything you want. Oh, by the way, after you do the changes, you need to log out. You need to log out. After you do the Windows changes, you log out and then you come back in, and your folders or directories is going to change. Okay. Okay, we come back in again. We logged in, and as you can see, we have it over here, right? So if you want to, for example, whatever you want, you can find it here. Configurations, system, you can find it. Okay. Now let's this is the graphic interface. Like for example, this is your desktop, like I was teaching. See, desktop, like in Windows, they are very similar. Now, if you go to home and for example, desktop or downloads, whatever, right? Now if you want to go to your file system, it will look like if it was in Windows. So you gotta make sure to play around whatever to get to know the system. So let's go back. Let's close this. Now this is your home Kali. You can open it too. It's pretty much what we've seen, but in another way, right? So let's close this. This is a notepad. It's like you can write whatever here. You can write anything. I think this is how it's written. I don't know. You can write anything. Sorry for my English. It's not that great, but enough to be understood. You get the message, right? So, okay. I'm going to use this to write over here the commands. I'm going to be teaching you guys, so it will be easy for you to see it. Okay? Don't save for the moment. Now, this it helps you minimize when you have different, like, for example, look over here. If you had we were talking about Mmap, right? Let's say you open Mmap. You open it, so you have a window like that. I haven't, let's put it like that. So let's say you have Mmap over here. Yeah. So Mmap, and then let's say you want to open Firefox, for example, and then you open this one, for example, you will have different stuff open, see? Different. So how you close, you come over here, you close all of them at once. You want them open again, you come in, or you just select them too. You can go one by one, but that's to minimize all your windows. Let me go IPA, just to see how am I connected. Okay. Okay, let's close this. We'll close that too. You will get slowly, you will get the hang of it, but the point is that so you can play around, you kind of know where you go. This is for navigation, you want to do updates or whatever, you want to check information. And this is where we're going to be working most of the times with commands. This is your, what you call it? It's kind of slow, I will tell you. There we go. I have a few things opening, so, and like I said, my laptop is only 8 gigs, and since I open my editor, I use OBS to record the screen, plus I have different applications open, so on my resources, that's a lot. So for the moment, let me get this. Let me close this. Let me go over here. And this, for example, is like, let's say you open this one over here. Yes, this is a monitor or desktop. This over here, let's say you want to open for Firefox. And over here, let's say you want to open and do, let's say over here you want to do whatever you want to open this. So like that, you can have different stuff open at the same time. See, over here you got this, you got that one, then you got this one, and like that. And if you go to the right over here, it tells you the usage of your CPU, consumptions, and everything. Okay, what's running, and so on and so on. This is kind of like for example, if you go to right click on your Windows host machine, if you go to taskbar and you open it, for example, it's pretty much the same thing, except that over here is different, right? Like over here it tells you what processors are open, how much is consumption of CPU, memory, like that graphic, history, beginning, users, details, and service in this. Okay, so let me close this, and let me close this too. This is so you can kind of know what you're navigating to. You can close it. You can come over here also, you can close it. You can remove that. No, close it. I don't want it open, so I close it. Over here too. I don't know what I have open over there. And that's it. Okay, now you got this is as I said, internet network connections. It gives you the information, volume, notifications, and battery, right? It tells you how much battery, how charge it is. Over here, it locks your screen, and over here, it tells you log out, restart, shut down, suspend, hibernate, hyperspeed, switch user. So let's cut it there. So pretty much, this is how you're going to be learning how to use your equipment. So let's say, for example, you want to, let's go over here. Let's say, what's a Cray launcher? For example, what is this? Let's say you want, let's say you want this. So what this will do is kind of like a link. It says, right? It's a command. So when you use it, you run it in terminal. So let's say create. Okay. So when you come next, you can do this, and it opens it up for you. So if you go, let's continue over here. Create URL. You can create a URL. So for example, if I put cybermarketingwebpro.com, for example, and the URL. So let me go to my host. Let me open a window. So if I put cybermarketingwebpro, see if I find it. See, this is my website. So if this is my website, if you look for it, you will find my website. So let's go over here. URL. This is the URL of my website. I can copy that and put it over there. Copy. Control C. You can put Control C. I do work also with Facebook campaigns. I like to do a lot of coding or experimenting. This is how you get good. This is in Spanish, but I created this. with the help of your artificial intelligence, and it's fantastic how technology is now that you don't really need to know much about coding. All you need to do is have the will to create things. Like for example, see how when I do this, the colors changes. See how it moves and everything. The reason I'm showing you this, so you can, when you do something, don't be afraid. We keep learning on the process. You just need to keep advancing. Okay. So how you like that? As you pass by, the colors changes and everything. See. Anyways, I hope you liked it, and I'm gonna keep teaching you slow, step by step. I like to do things that it makes me better. So my objective is to become the best version of myself. So there we go. Anyway, we already copied this, so let's come over here. Let's say URL. Let's put it like that, and we create. So if you press twice, it will open. It says not secure, but there we go. Yes, it is secure. I use WAF, by the way. I only accept HTTPS connections. So there you go. And here you got it, baby. You see? I like to play with my. I like to learn things. I just like to get better. Anyway, let me close this. So if you do right click, we continue. We can create folders also. This is kind of like Windows. All you gotta do is to learn how to navigate yourself. So you can create a folder, say, Kali course, for example. Create. There you go. You got this over here. You got this over here, and so on. Now, if you do, you can create a document too. Whatever, right? You can create a document, empty file, new file, create, and you will see a new file over here. You can open a terminal here. See, desktop. This is in desktop. So if you do ls, I'm gonna teach you how to the commands later on, but this is just for examples, so you can see how everything goes. If you do right click again, open as root, this will give you privileges where you need to put your your password. So in Kali, the password is not it don't show it sometimes. So there we go. Now if you do arrange desktop, open your window. Let's go to desktop setup. So over here you can set up. You can select different. Let's say if you wanted to use this, for example. Okay. Yeah, I need to close. I have too many things open. So let me. So it's a lot of consumption. Okay. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that you can go over here and you can select whatever you want. You can go on menus. Okay. That's crazy. You can go menus, desktop icons, size, icon size. You can change the size over here. You can make it smaller, for example. Let's say 30. You can change the font. So font size, file launchers. Okay. You can do a lot of things. So let me close this. Okay. Now what else we can do? Okay. For the moment, that's what I'm going to teach you next. Then we're going to talk about how to use the commands and file architecture of Linux. We're going to talk about file system. This, how is the structure? How from a slash, which is root, everything comes in a logical way. All these are directories within the slash root. Everything depends from there. I'm going to teach you that on the next course or lesson. The next lesson. So for the moment, that's it. We're going to cut it there. Okay, we're going to start. Before we start, now I'm going to go to settings to make sure I have only NAT adapter on and the rest off. I won't need them. In fact, yeah. Okay, let's do this, baby. Let's do this machine. We're going to talk about today. I'm going to show you how the Linux files are structured. Okay, so and we can see Windows in comparison in order to comprehend how both of them different, but at the same time. So it could be easy for you to understand. I remember when I first started, it was really complicated for me to understand. Even though to this day, you never stop learning, right? We all in the process of transformation. So to this day, I'm still learning. I know that, but I'm gonna show you what I mean by it. When you see the fundamentals of both, it will be way easier when we go into the command line and explain you how to navigate through your terminal. Okay, it will be way easier. Okay, so let's start by. Okay, let's start by doing this. Okay, I got this. As you know, Linux compared to Windows are different. In Windows we have things. If you go to equipment, you have this file structure architecture. For example, C is like root, and then you got D, E, F, whatever. Your files pretty much are in C. So I'm gonna go through that step by step. But right now, let's get into Linux. So the big idea, right? Quick and beginner friendly. In Linux, everything starts at root / root. No, it's no separate C or D like Windows. This USB network drivers all gets mounted somewhere under root. The system is a single unified tree. I'm gonna show you through commands also. So yes, all directories are children of root. So everything is structured to be underneath. I got this, so you can see in a better way. Core Linux file system tree from root. Everything born from root. Here's a clean standard illustration. You see almost this one. You got root / right. Then you got bin. Essential user commands, ls, cp, move. Boot is another directory. Kernel plus bootloaders files. In dev, we got devices files, disk, USB, terminals. In this directory, etc, is system-wide configuration files. In home is user home directories, like for example, my is king in this equipment. So you will see there, for example, documents, downloads, pictures, and so on and so on. And then you got library from library. Share libraries needed by /bin and /sbin. Media. Auto mount to remove media, USB, CD. In this directory, for example, is temporary manual mount points. In opt, we use this for optional third-party software, like when you want to download I don't know, X or Y application you download it to this directory. Prog is for virtual file systems. Kernel and process info is virtual. Huh? In this directory, root, home directory for root user, for the big boss. Administrator, root is the administrator. Runtime data, Pete files, sockets, has been system binaries, admin commands, SRV, data for services, web, FTP, etc. System, this directory is for kernel hardware info, virtual, FS, temp, temporary files, often called clear on reboot, USR, user program and data. Okay, and here you got bin, library, share, and from root you got bar, which is, oh by the way, it says variable data logs, mail, share, it comes from bar, logs pool. Okay, so you can understand. Then I'm gonna show you a step by step with example how everything goes from roots. Think of it like this: root the trunk, and then system stuff, bin, system binaries, libraries, etc. Devices and kernel views, dev, probe system, changing data, var, temp. This is the directories that work with this. Devices and kernel views, this directory work there. System stuff, this directory. User stuff, home and user. So physical dismounted under root. Processes visible in proc, or proc, whatever. Sorry for the pronunciation. Hardware exposed in dev, /dev, and /sys. Users live in home. Even USB drive might show up as /media /your name. My name is King here. Drive might show up as /media your name USB drive. Still part of the same tree. Okay, now that you got a understanding there, I'm gonna make a comparison, for example, with Windows. I know we're working with Kali, but I want you also to get an idea how Windows is. So it will be way easier for you, because to me it's easier when I started learning how these folders work and how files inside folders and so on and so on. And the same thing works for Kali. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here. I like to use technology in order to help myself, because in this world, I don't think in this world you have the opportunity to do anything you want. Nowadays, artificial intelligence can do anything for you. You just gotta ask. You just gotta find out. So in this case, right, I asked Linux file architecture, and then I asked to make a comparison Windows file architecture. So let's go Windows, since we come from a Windows operating system. Let's go and make a quick understanding of how it is, and I'm gonna go through the folder so you can understand too. So he says, sounds like you're asking, because I asked, right? Windows organizes files and folders. Okay, Windows. So drive and root structure. Windows uses drives letters. C, main system drive, most important. D, E, etc. Other disks, partition, USB, DVDs. Everything starts at root of drive. So in Windows is C. So if you open your equipment, for example, or your device, and you go over here, you see C, and you got D. For example, I got D for my downloads or stuff like that. And if you go to C, for example, you will find all this. See, I'm gonna show you unique so you can comprehend. So core system folders. C, they were the backbones of Windows. C /Windows, the operating system. I think it's /Windows is the name of this. The operating system itself, system files, DLS, drivers, updates, subfolders. We got system 32 core system binaries. Yes, even on 64-bit system. System 64, 32 bits compatibility files. Wings XS component store used for updates and recovery. Oh, so we don't touch that. Okay. Program file, install 64 bits applications. Program files x82. If we go to over here, you see this is for 32. Okay. So if we go back, and this is for 64 architecture. Okay. Just so you can understand how the folders work. Okay. Let's continue over here. So typical app layout, it says, right? Typical app layout. Install 32 bits application, programs, app.exe, config data, and like that. So users, each user account gets its own folder, like user /ali /bot / and so on. Inside a user folder, you'll find desktop. The purpose, that's the files, right? Documents, user documents, downloads, browser downloads, pictures, images, music, audio, videos, video files, app data, app settings, and caches. So if you go over here, it's the same thing, okay? So let's go back. We got download, documents, desktop, images, videos, and so on and so on. Like so, app data. It says app data, very important, hidden by default. So and it is. So if you go and you do this temp, for example, it will open up. See, I can erase this if it lets me. But yeah, this is for temporary. Or you can. By the way, a lot of malware use this temp because you can write in it, and you can take control of the user session. I'm not gonna go into that right now. Anyway, so data roaming. User setting the ROMs with account. Local machine specific data. Caches. Local low permission app. Browser sandbox apps. Mainly app store config here instead of program files. Okay. System and recovery areas. Program data. Share update data for all user. Recycle bin. Per drive. System value information. Restore point indexing. Recovery. Windows recovery tools. Okay. File system under the hood. Windows typically use NTFS default. Permissions. ACLS. Encryption. EFS. Compression. Large file support. exFAT. USB drives. ESD cards. FAT32 legal Z compatibility. Permission and security. Windows uses access control list, user groups, read-write execution permission. Files inherit permission from parent folders unless overwritten. So, like for example, let me do another. It's a host, or like for example, let's go to Windows over here. Let me check this folder. So let's say CapCut. If I go to properties, for example, and I go to security, I can see who has permission there and what type of permission. See, some of them got control and so on and so on. Like for example, let me go into Chrome properties. So if I go to security, you see who has permission there. And so on. Okay, let's continue. We were talking about special path shortcuts. Windows uses allies. I don't know how to pronounce this. Instead of hardcoding path, user profile, username, updata roaming, local app data, updata local, temp files. These are heavily used by apps and scripts. You betcha they do. Modern addition, Microsoft Store. Okay, highly restricted. OneDrive. We're almost done with this. So here's a visual of how Windows operating system instruction works. Windows program files, x86 architecture. And this is 64 architecture users, and from there you got the username. So in this case, let me see, so you can see my username, CMD. My users penetration tester. That's my username over here. Okay, so let's do that to see connections, just so you can get an idea. Connections that are connected, remote and local. Listening who's just actually connected. Anyway, let's continue. So we got that done. You understood how it is. Now we're gonna go into the, like I said, I use artificial intelligence because it helps me a lot. There are a lot of stuff I don't know. Excuse me, I'm gonna drink a little bit of coffee. Delicious. Okay, let's do this. The big idea, right? Linux uses a single root file system. Everything, files, devices, processes live under root. We already talked about root, so it's a slash. I'm gonna show you through commands, but for the moment, like this so you can comprehend it. No drive, letter C, even disk and USB are mounted in the tree. Core directories, important ones, root, the top of everything. You need admin. Root privilege to mess with most of the things here. The reason I wanted to do it like this so you can comprehend or get a more clearly idea of how to navigate later on when we use the terminal. Because you will be moving and navigating, but it's harder to comprehend if you haven't gone to the fundamentals of how you can do it, okay, or what is each thing in a version way, right? So /bin essential user binaries, basic commands needed to run system, ls, cp, copy, move, cat is used to get information. I'm gonna show you that for on. Bash available even in recovery mode. / has been system binaries, admin only commands, IP, mount, fs, I don't know how to pronounce it, shutdown, mostly for system maintenance. Okay, etc /etc configuration files, system wide configs, text files, /etc password users, /etc fs tab dismount, /etc ssh /sshd config ssh setting. No binaries here, only config. Okay, home user home directories. Each user gets their own space. Home alice, home bar. This is our example. Your personal files, download, config, etc. Okay. Sorry guys. Okay, then you got root. Root user's home directory for the root user, not the same as /. Okay, this is the home of the user. This is not the same as root of the system, the whole architecture. Okay, user programs and libraries. Despite the name, this is not user data. User /bin, most commands, /user /libraries, and /user share docs, icons, manual pages. Stored software lives here. Okay, /var variable data, stuff that changes a lot. /var /loads, /var and so on and so on. Okay, temporary files, pretty much the same thing we see in Windows, but is designed in a different way, right? Surely files often wiped on reboot. Anyone can write here. Check. Anyone can write there. So if a malware or Trojan can execute there, it can do its job. I'm not gonna go into it right now because this is a course of Linux fundamentals. But since I'm gonna be adding more modules, I'm gonna go into some very technical stuff. Okay, device files, hardware represented as files, disk. Okay, terminals /dev /node deploy. Okay, process and kernel info virtual. This is virtual, not real files. Generally generated at the fly. Okay, /proc /CPU info /proc /memory info and so on. Peek into the running system here. Hardware and kernel interface, modern alternative to /proc for hardware info and control. Now, why? Like I said, I'm going it like this so you can get a pretty good idea of how each operating system works, what each directory is for, or what it does. Is to at least to understand the basics and the fundamentals of this. And that's how we all learn, right? So boot bootloader files, kernel, VM, Linux, init, and so on. Graph config, touch carefully. Yeah, I understand that, and so on. Okay. Media /manual /opt. Here's when you want to download applications, like I said. Okay, so to make it easier, here it is. Basic commands, configs, or stuff, install software, logs and changing data, hardware, and so on and so on. Okay, thank you, ChatGPT. I love you, man. My best friend. Okay, now let's go to Kali. Okay, we were talking about that. Let's close this over here. So what we just seen is this file system. Okay, over here you got them. See? Okay, let's close this. Now we're gonna see it through the. Oh, I think I was teaching you how to do it like if it was Windows, right? I forgot. But maybe you. I think we're gonna go through it like that so you can see both ways. So okay, let's open the terminal because this is where we're gonna be working. So first. So if we say cd / and we do it. So what we just say is change directory to root. So if we do ls, so this is what we just in bin dev home init alt root. See? So if let's say I want to go to home, so we do change /home, it will move me to home. See? Home directory. If I say ls, it says king, the user, right? My stuff. So if I, for example, move to king, for example, and I do ls, there's desktop, documents, downloads. So if we go to desktop, like I show you through the folder. So if I go to desktop, for example, desktop, and I do ls, this is the file we just seen. Okay, there's the file. So if I do print working directory, for example, I want to know where I am. It says that I am in home /king /des. So if I want to go back, so I go like this, see, and it will take me back to. If I do ls again, I'm in working directory. So you can. I'm in home king. I'm not more in desktop, you see, because I went back. So if I want to go back like this, okay, I'm back to root because I told them I want to go back, and then I did another slash, and then another 2 dots. And so if we do ls, it shows me everything. Now if I want to do ls -la like this, it shows me what I have, permissions, and everything. Who's the owner? Okay, so you can get an idea. We're gonna go into deeper of this later on, but that's so you can get an idea of how this works. So So for the moment, that's all I wanted to teach you. On the next lesson, we're going to go through the terminal. I'm going to explain you how to use it, and we're going to go into more deeper stuff, okay? Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, we're going to start with the next section. We're going to be working on the terminal. We're going to go through the process of navigation from how to navigate. Pretty much this is the basic commands of how to navigate through your terminal. But before that, I want to teach you something just in case you speak another language and it's, English is not your strongest. You go over here, I forgot to mention this the other day, and you go to settings. You go to settings, for example, then you go to your keyboard. Like my keyboard, for example, I have it in Spanish. So if you open your keyboard, you go to layout, and you see I have it Spanish, Latin American. So like that, you can add another language, and you take off the default. You gotta make sure it's off. Now, if you speak English, well, more power to you. Okay, let's start with this. So the first command the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go. This is your command, how you call it? This is your terminal where you're gonna be working most of the time. So over here, you can create your commands and everything, right? So if you go to sessions, you can create another tab, for example, see, double tap, or you can create this is preset, like 2 horizontal, see. So you want, you can do another one, and this one you can do, or you can come over here and do 4 tabs at the same time. It depends on what's on your project. See, so in one you might be running a IP config, for example. Just no, if config, sorry, if config. In this one you might have mmap, whatever, right? Just trying to make a point. Over here you might have a firewalls or whatever. Okay, so you can do that. Let me erase some of this for the moment. Okay, we got this one. So you go to section, like I was saying. You can create different windows. Like over here you can work, or like if you want to do zoom in or zoom out. Like for example, for this video, let's do zoom in. If the letters are bigger, or you want to zoom out, the letters get smaller, right? Okay, that's that. On view, you can go full screen. Like you can work over here with it. So for example, if you want to go to this, you can change colors. You can do a lot of different stuff over here. This is so you can have an idea of how it goes. Okay. So okay, let's continue with this. So let's say you want to create with the command, you go control shift control, and you press T, and it will make another terminal. See, shift control T, make another. Okay. And then you can do shift control W, and you can erase it too. You can do different things with it. Let's say you're working in 2 different terminals, or you have, let's say, 4 different ones, for example, just to make a point here. Okay, 4 different ones. But you might be confusing, so when you're working, you kind of like, you have a lot of stuff, you confuse which one is which. So over here you go right click, and you can rename this. For example, let's call it whatever, right? Let's call it 1, just to make it simple. So this can be, I don't know, rename mmap, for example. This can be another tool that you'll be running, or this can be Firefox, and so on. This can be whatever you want, like HTTP server, let's put it like that. And there you go. Now you know what each one does. Okay, now you know. Okay. Okay, now like I said, you can do Control Shift and W, and you can erase them all. Now that you have that, now the first command we're gonna do is updates. So I want to show you something. Before we do updates, if I go over here, I have all my internet connections or interfaces disconnected. So if I do sudo update, sudo apt -get update, for example, update my password, it will try, but I don't have no internet connection. So when you have it like that, see, so let me open this, my Firefox, so you can see it through your eyes. And if I want to go to YouTube, for example, it will say that it has no connections. Okay. Now the reason I'm showing you this, see, no connection, so you can come and learn how this works. So you go to devices, you go to network, and number 1 adapter over here is NAT. It's NAT. So NAT is to update and to upgrade to use the internet in a safer way, because it's isolated from your local network. Like I was explaining the other day, adapter 2 is host only, so that won't have no internet, but it has an IP that I can use to do pen testing in my labs. And bridge adapter is when you do real pen testing, because the IP will be seen as a machine in your local network. You will have an IP as if it were in your local network, so anybody can see it. So let's go and we go to devices, network, and let's have this on. You will see over here that I get internet, and you will see a change over here where it says no internet connection. See, back online. Now if I check for YouTube, for example, like, oh, I already got YouTube. Sorry. So now I can say I can look for music. Let's say music, and I have now a connection. Okay. Okay. Let me shut that off just to show you how it goes. So right now I'm gonna update. So we do sudo apt -get update. Now the first time you do that, it will take some time because you haven't updated. It will ask for your Kali password, but since I already used it up here, it didn't ask me again. Okay. So Kali reading package is done. My system is updated, so it's not. So let me upgrade. So let's say sudo apt -get full -upgrade -y to say yes if it's going to reboot or whatever. See, done. So pretty much I have everything newly installed, upgraded. Okay. Now let's clear this. Now if you cannot update, you have to go to nano. Sorry, sudo nano, for example, and there you go, /etc/apt/sources and you will present. You have to make sure this is there. Now see, in my machines I only use HTTPS, but as a default it comes as HTTP. So I changed this because I want everything, make sure it's encrypted and secure. So I use HTTPS. So when you do any changes here, you press Control O, Enter, and Control X to log out, to save and to log out. Okay, that's what it changes. So okay, now since we already seen this, now we're gonna go to the next step. And in this case, we were talking about navigation commands. So the first command we're gonna run is print working directory. So right now I'm at home /king. Okay, so if I do ls, I'm over here. See, who am I? and it says I'm king. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do is, first of all, what we're gonna do is this command, for example, cd is for changes. So right now I'm in king, right? But I want to go to desktop, for example, or to home. If I want to go to home, for example, slash dot dot, and I go back. ls, I go back to root in this case. So you want to go to home, you just put home, and there you go. I got home. Now when I do ls, I got king, my user. So let's go to king, for example. Before I go there, I'm gonna do ls-l. This will list you what he has. So now if we go to king and I do ls, it shows me this, but I want to see more information. So you do ls-l, for example, and it will give you the permissions. It will tell you the user, the group, the data, bits, the weight, and the date, hour, and desktop, right? Whatever over here. So if you want to see more information, you do ls-la, and it will give you like this. See? Now you can even see the hidden folders. When it says that, all of them are hidden. But if you do ls-la, it will give you all the information. Okay. Okay. Another command that we will use to navigate is, in this case, it could be, for example, if you want to say where you want to find something. For example, you can say where mmap, for example, where mmap. It tells me where is mmap. Okay. So where Apache 2. It tells me where is Apache 2. You can use also which Firefox, for example, and it tells you where Firefox is. Pretty much telling you that this is the path where the system looks for this application in order to run in Linux. Okay, so that's the way to find. Now, if you want to go, okay, we were in directory, so you can run in king, right? Ls, you can do tree, for example, and it will give you a tree of whatever you got there. Okay, it will give you a tree of desktop. I have these files in there, download, and it tells you. Okay, and that's how pretty much how you navigate to things. Okay. Now, another command that we will use a lot in this case, it will be the command find. Find, it helps you search. It helps you search the file systems and the directories just by different attributes. For example, you can use find to find, let me see, how can I say this? To find, for example, you can find, with different parameters, you can find files, even data creation, like the owner, groups, or permission privilege, you can find using find. So, like, for example, I want to find, for example, a file with that ends with that .txt. For example, I can go like this. I can say find. You see. Let me go back to home. So you can say find slash dash name, and in this case you want an extension with a .txt, for example. You go like this, and it will find it in the system. So what we did is we told them, okay, find all files with this extension on .txt in the root directory in the system with this name, right? Like that. You can use it like that too. But you can be more specific. Like, for example, you can find specific files that ends just with a txt, but you can be more like find. Let me get this over. Like find root. You can be dash type. In this case, it will be file because we're looking for a file. Dash name, and in this case, you can say .txt like that, and it will give you the information. Remember that we have permission denied because we are normal or regular user. We're not yet root. So in this case, it will show us like that. Okay. So we can do sudo if you want, like this sudo, for example. Let me show you how to find, for example, more specific, like in a directory. Because if you look through the whole system, it gives you too much information. Okay. So let's make it more specific. So you say, let's say find /etc, and let's look just for a specific file. So you say type, for example, file dash name. In this case, let's say Apache 2, for example, and you will look for Apache. See, for Apache, and that's how you can use find. You could be more like you can use different they call it wildcards too. They call it wildcards. So let's say now if you want to see, like I said, it's a lot of permission denied there. So you can go sudo find /etc dash type. In this case, it's file dash name Apache 2 .txt. Just Apache 2. No, I didn't get there. Okay, because I use a sudo. So in this case, let's not use sudo. Just find it like that. Okay, and you can see it. All right. So you can also do it like that. Sudo find /etc dash type file dash name, and you can tell them like this, and it will find. Okay, what you tell them there, find in this directory a specific file with F with the name Apache that ends in any extension. It could be .txt, .php, whatever, right? So in this case, it gave us the main core file configuration of Apache. Okay, Apache has different files, but this is the main one. So, but we can also use to find directories too, or to find different. Like let's find, for example, a directory, right? So you say find in this directory, like find from here dash type directory. It's not a file directory, so dash name desktop, for example, desktop, and it will find me the desktop that is in king, like it is that /king/desktop. So if you want to go, for example, to that directory, or you want to do, for example, ls -l, and you want to do, for example, /home /king /desktop, it should give you it should give you the information, see, without being in this directory. Like you can, if you do like that, it will give you the information, see. So if I want to see this file information, I can do cat /home. Sorry about that. My keyboard /home /king slash desktop slash, because this is the file I want to open, so file dot txt. And there you got it. Please understand that everything in this world started from a vision, from a dream. So please do not stop dreaming, my friend. This is me, Marlon. Okay. So as you can see, we can use it for different purpose, but you can use find. There are some, like for example, you go, so you can look it up later, and you say find help. It give you the instructions of how to use it. So it will tell you like what it's good for and stuff like that. Okay. So when you want to do something, you can find out. You just go like that, and it give you the information. Okay. Something that I really like about this command is that they have something called wildcards. So wildcards can be used. For example, I'm gonna give you an example where wildcards can be used. So for example, we want to find. Okay, let's use. Let me click this here. So let's say find slash etc dash type file dash name, and let's say you want to do, for example, you want to find Apache, but you don't know the letter, right? So you put over here A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, F, whatever, and then so you leave it like that. For example, what it will do is it will find everything that starts with this letter. So in this case, it's Apache 2. Okay, Apache 2. In this case, as you can see, you find that Apache 2. But if the name it was B, for example, like B Apache 2, it will find it also. So that's how you can use brackets. So when you don't know what letter starts, you can just use it. And another wildcard that you can use is the interrogation. I don't know how you say that. So let's use like that. Find slash etc dash type. In this case, file dash name, for example. And in this case, we want to use Apache. Let's use it like that. So what we're telling him over here that we don't know what's the last word or number. So if we run it, it will also find Apache, as you can see over here. You find the Apache over here too, Apache. So those another, and this is another one. I don't know how you call this. Statistic, I think. So I don't know what's the proper name for that one. I know they call it wildcards too. So that one, for example, you can say find. I think I already showed you this one. So find slash etc, for example, dash type f dash name. F is for file, and the name of the file in this case is Apache 2. Okay, and you can use this tell them any extension, or you can use it like that. So you can use it like that, and it will find you everything about Apache. See? You got Apache over here, Apache over here, Apache over here, but it will find everything that is related to Apache. Okay, we don't have permission, so let's do like for example the last command. If you do page up or upper page signal with the arrow, it will show you the commands like that. So if you see this, for example, and so let me see, and then let's see with sudo like that. It will give you things that didn't give you before, so it gives you more proper information, okay? And is no access or permission denied. So that's another command and then we're going to use also another command that is pretty useful, which is rep. So if you want to find a file, for example, use rep. Like for example, let's say ls. So ls, let's go back to over here to root. So if you do ls, if we do ls dash l, we will have more information, right? See? So you can use grep for different things. Like for example, you want to find something just by the user, by the number, by the extension. Let's say you want to find everything that is 4096. So you do, for example, ls dash l, and then you do grep, for example, grep, and then you do 4096, like that, and it will give you 4096. You see? Okay, that's how you can use also grep. But we're going to talk about grep later on as we move on. Right now, because grep is very, very unique. Like for example, you can also use grep, for example, to find files like that. But I'm not going to confuse you much. I'm going to talk about grep later on. So let's keep doing. So how you create, for example, we're going to use a command named touch. So if you want to create a file, for example, so let's move to home. And let's, okay, king in this case. So let's say you want to create a file. Okay, you can create a file. For example, you say touch 123 that txt, for example, and you do ls. There is touch 123 that txt. So if you want to do cat to open this file and see what's in it, so you say cat 123 that txt, and it will show us nothing because we don't have nothing in that 123 that txt. But if we open it and we edit or we write in it, then we can do that. So let's make another. That's one way to create a file. Let's make another way is echo. So you can do echo like that. Let me do this. So you can do echo like that. You bet. Let's put it like that so something goes in it. So let's put test1 that txt. And we do ls, we already have 123 that txt, we have king, and we have test1 that txt. If we do cat test1 that txt, it will open and you see it's already. So that's another way to write a file. But you can also use editors like nano. You can say nano, okay, test2 that txt, for example. It will create the file and it will open the editor, so you can write something like, for example, the world is yours for the taking. Make you king, brother. Make you king. Okay, so you want to do it like that. So this is nano. In this file, you created the file, you open the file. Now, after you write, you can Control O to save it. Then you press Enter, and then Control X to exit. So if you do ls, for example, you will see you have 123.txt. That's the one we created first. Then we got test1.txt and test2.txt. If you want to do cat test2.txt, the world is yours for the taking, brother. Make you king. Okay, so that's how you create. Files. how you copy a file. So you can say copy test 1 2 3. For example, you can say test 1 2 3 .txt. This file, for example, this file. No, let me copy the other one. I like this one better. So let's say cp, which means copy, and then you say test 2 .txt, and then you'll be like copy, okay, test .txt, for example. So if you do ls, you already have this file, and you got the copy. So if you want to open the copy and see if you did copy, so you say cat copy test.txt, for example. And there you have the world's yours for the taking, brother. You got it. Okay, so that's how you create and you edit your files. So I'm gonna teach you now. The next command is about move. How you move a file or how you rename a file. So this command, for example, move. See this command. So you go like this. If you want to move a file to another folder or whatever, or rename it. So let's rename this. Let's rename this copy. Sorry about that. This copy. So you say move copy test.txt, because you want like, so since when it's in the same directory, it changes the name. But if you use another directory, it will move to another directory. Is another folder, right? So it will move to another folder. So in this case, you want to say test. You just put copia like that txt, for example, and then if you do ls, you got copia txt. You don't have copia. You don't have copy test that txt. So that's how you rename a file. Now, how about if you move that file to another folder? Okay. So if you want to move that file to another folder, you'd be like, for example, move copia .txt to, for example, let me see, like that. I'm sorry, no, that wasn't that. So like that, slash dot. Yeah, I messed up over there. So let me make the same one. So instead, let's make it go to slash home slash king slash, would you like, downloads, for example, downloads. So this copy should move to. So if you do ls, for example, copia is not here. But if you go back to cd, so we're in home, right? So let's do ls. If you want to go to, for example, downloads, see downloads. So we do downloads, and we do ls. We have copy over here. Let's cut copia. So cut copia .txt. Sorry about that. Copia .txt, and it comes like this. Okay. So let's erase. Okay. Let's erase. Okay. Now I go back. So let's go home, for example. Okay, we have, this is our directories right now. Okay, so let's say you want to go, we were in desktop, right? Desktop. So we do ls. So how about if you want to erase something, let's erase. Since we had this, we were in home when we created this. See, they were here. So I can go back and I can erase this. So let's erase, remove. No, it's not move, remove. So you say remove dash remove test 1.txt, for example, ls, and you see it's not there anymore. So if you want to remove 123.txt also. Okay. Now I forgot to mention, we have, for example, another editor that you can use, but it's a little more complicated. So you can say beam. For example, you can use beam. Okay. So to create you can use beam to create file. Beam 1 2 3 again. But no, I already got that one. Beam, let's call it like that just for the sake of it. Okay. Then beam will open. Now with the I over here, when you say insert, you can write whatever you want. So hello, brothers and sisters. Do not stop. Keep going. One step at a time. Okay. Now to save this, you gotta do the 2 dots like that. Sorry about that. To save this, you gotta do control. So, since I changed the keyboard, I kind of messed it up because there are a few things that I don't see it, and that's not kosher. I don't know how to. I think it was. Yeah, that wasn't cool. That wasn't cool at all, brother. I forgot how to exit with the new keyboard. Okay. So over here you go to it. It should exit you. But like I say, I do not. So it was W. It should be like this. But like I can't get there because my. Okay, I'm gonna have to shut this down because I don't remember how to do it with the Spanish keyboard. I had the English keyboard, but since I'm working on my laptop, there are a lot of symbols that I don't see. Okay, let's continue. I'm gonna give you how to do that later on. Okay, how to exit. So another command with that you can use is how to create, for example, directories. So you say make dir 1 2 3, for example. See, or you can say make dir Kali. If you do ls, we have Kali here, and we have directory 1 2 3. If you do cd to Kali and do ls, it's nothing there. Okay, nothing there. But you can create a file. So you can say no, you can recreate this file. Okay, just test, because we don't have test, and it will open. As you can see, we are in the process of transformation. don't know if it's like that. I think it's with an N. But you get the point, right? So then you do Control O, Enter, and Control X, and you look down. Okay. So that's how you have. Now if you do ls, you have inside Kali, you have this file. You do cat. It says the txt. As you can see, we are all in the process of transformation. Okay, buddy. That's how you do it. Now if you want to erase, for example, a directory, you can erase the directory too. You can erase. Okay. So how you erase the directory? You say remove. Okay, -R. In this case, -R is for recursive, I think in English. I don't know. But it does erase everything. What's in it and the so it will erase this file that is inside Kali. So -R Kali, for example, and -R Kali. Okay, remove Kali. Okay, hold on. Now if we do ls, because I'm inside the folder, I can erase it. Sorry about that. So let me out. There we go, Kali. So now if you do remove and -R and you say Kali, what the fuck? Let's do ls. That's not very culture. That's not very culture, brother. Remove. Dash. Oh fuck. So we do ls. See, Kali's not there. See, sometimes we mess it up because, as you can see over here, I didn't finish writing it. Also over here, I didn't finish writing it properly. So, like I said, that's how you gotta practice, brother. You gotta practice. I am. This is like I was mentioning at the beginning. This is my way out. I work while I'm doing this. I'm becoming better all the time. I also have another job that helps me feed my family. This is a way to push myself forward. And something when you teach or when you want to help others, it's easier for you to remember because you can be like I've been studying this since 2019. But since I keep working in other jobs, I don't really have the time to keep implementing what I keep learning. I've seen many courses, but until now, what I'm doing is making these courses. So I keep practicing what I learn. Otherwise, it keeps forgetting. And if you don't practice something, you don't become good at it. Any discipline that you want, you have to practice. In other words, in order to become the best version of yourself, you have to do it yourself, okay? So now you learn how to remove files, how to create files, how to create directories, how to erase them, how to navigate, how to find them. You can also find, for example, you can also find a directory like that if you want. So you can say find in this directory, for example, and then you say -type, -d, okay, -name, and then you say desktop, for example. It will tell you where is desktop. In this case, I'm in home, I think. Directory. Yeah, see? Like that. So if I want to move there, I can go like this, /home, cd to that directory, for example, cd /home /king and /desktop. And we move to desktop. If I do ls, I have it here, see? If I do cat file.txt, look. See? So don't stop dreaming, brother. Don't stop dreaming. Now you can also do cat like that, cat. Yeah, cat, and then you do grep, for example. Okay? Like that. In this case, grab please /home desktop king. The reason is because I'm already here. So let me go out. Okay. Like that, and it will take me all the way back. So if I do ls, I'm in root. Okay. So you can say, for example, cat file.txt grep /home because we are in this directory, like for example. See. Now what I'm telling is we can use grep like that. So I forgot to mention. With this I, it picks up when these upper letters. With this, it gives you whatever you want, and with or it's a less, right? So that's how you do it. And you don't have to be in the directory that you specifically. So you can, like for example, let me just sync command and let's see if I can do, for example, password like that. Let me see if I /etc. I guess I just changed the keyboard. I keep forgetting /etc. And let me see if he finds. Oh, what is? I won't find nothing there. So cut. Let me see if I can run it like that. There you go. See, you can use this command. It's too much information. Control C to log out. So you can use this command. For example, you can cut, like you can pull out and use pipe, and you tell them grep. I want small letters, big letters, and select everything that it says password inside etc. And that's what it does. See, and this is very useful. So when you get into a system and you're looking to find something, that's how you find it. Like I said, the only way you get good at this is practicing. Sometimes I don't, like I have another job, I have family to support. I don't have much time, so I dedicate 1 hour, 2 hours. But that's how you do it, slowly but surely, brothers. And that's how you can use grep in different ways. Okay, so you can use grep differently. Like for example, you can say grep like that. For example, see, there's a lot of information. There's many things that you can do with this command. Yes. So let's clear this. You can do grep, like for example, grep -r. Let me see. You can set up grep any extension like this. You say grep downloads. Let me see if you find it. See. There. Now you can also do grep. Oh shit! I fucked up. Downloads like that. But it will find you everything that is related to it, right? So you can be like grep -help, and you can look for it and get better at it. Okay. I'm just showing you what I use, or it's keep implementing. But you can find anything. This works also for example, to find any information you want. You can be like, for example, okay, AMAP, for example, dash help. And it will give you the information on how to run AMAP, how to do your scanning, what's the best, how to get the operating system version, how to find all ports, how to do it in a very smooth and quiet way. Everything's here. All you gotta do is just sorry about that. All you gotta do is just keep at it, slowly but surely. Okay. Now, what else we can do? Okay, that's what grep. Now, grep is intensively. So for the moment, I think we're gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna be sharing with you on the next session. We're gonna talk about networking. Okay. But before we go, let's do this command, for example. Now, see, as you can see, this command tells you up. So up is this machine, which is, if you go over here, my interface, NAT. See, NAT. So if you say if config over here, it tells me that I'm running on NAT. See. Now, if I go and I go to the settings, for example, and I turn that off, and then I go back and for example, let's do connected to. As you can see, also the internet left because we don't have no more connection. So if I do IPA like that, it will tell me that app is this IP. Okay, and this is a host-only adapter. So when you do your pen testing, it's a very secure way because it has no internet connection. Nobody can see your machine. No can attack your machine, especially when they're vulnerable, right? Like exploitable and stuff like that. Okay, let me get that off. And now we're gonna connect. We're gonna connect the bridge adapter. Oh, sorry about that. We're gonna connect bridge adapter. Okay, and let's get this off. So now we have internet, as you can see. We have internet. Okay, so bridge adapter is on. Let me see IP. Let's see. So that no, I did change if config. Since I took it out, but I didn't turn it off first. So what's one? Okay. So up we have it two. So no, we don't have. So you go to devices, turn it off again just to make sure, and then you go back, turn it back on. Over here you have internet in a little minute. See? Now if we do the same command, it tells you that this machine is up. Like I was telling you, now you can see your IP. Like if we do CMD in your Kali machine, and if we do IP config, so show, it tells me over here that I have a 6. See, 192.168.100.6. That's my IP for my local host. But it keeps changing, right? So in this case, that is for that. So for the moment, that's where we're gonna leave it. We're gonna talk about networks, network fundamentals on the next section of this video. So thank you for watching, and if you like, subscribe and share, brothers. Bye bye. Okay, in this section, we're gonna see Kali Linux network basics. Now, what is networking and cybersecurity? See, networking is the foundation of communication between computers, servers, and devices. Every action on the internet happens through a network. It could be browsing, emailing, hacking, defending, scanning, and monitoring, so on and so on, right? In cybersecurity, networking allows us to discover hosts in the network, identify open ports and services. We use AMAP for that. Analyze traffic. We can use Wireshark and different tools for that too. Detect vulnerabilities. There are Metasploit could be used for that, and many other tools. Exploits and defense system. See, understanding network means understanding how data moves, where it goes, and how attackers abuse it. Okay, so before attacking or defending anything, a pen testing must understand what is an IP. Like for example, like if you run IPA, like over here, I'm right now on bridge adapter. See, bridge adapter over here is connected. So it's my IP over here is 192.168.100.35. Okay, that's my IP, for example. So we're going to be learning about subnets, ports, protocols like TCP, UDP, ICMP, DNS, HTTP, HTTPS, and network interfaces. So in other words, without networking knowledge, hacking is more like guessing, right? So in order for me to show you how this goes, and before doing anything, we need to understand our own systems and the network we are connected to, right? So you must know your IP, your gateway, your DNS, your interface name, for example. And I'm gonna be going back and forth in my host machine and Kali Linux machine, so you can have an idea of how it is in both of them. But it works. It's network still. So so you must know that your interface name, all the devices on the network, and that's what is called reconnaissance. So before we go into the basic commands of network in Kali Linux, I'm gonna teach you. For example, I'm gonna show you something. Like for example, if I come to my, like if you go and you do CMD, for example, in your computer CMD, it will open up. So you can open it as administrator, for example, or you can open up as a regular user. But if you do as a regular user, for example, if I want to see what connection is connected to my computer or what my computer is connected to over the internet, I can be like, for example, this is Windows Net for example, like that, and it gives me what's connected, the ports, and so on. What's listening? See, what the protocol, local IP, remote IP. See, the state. These are listening, but it's no connections. Okay, and the PID. The process ID, in other words. See, and I'm gonna show you why I have no connections here. So if I go and use it as a, for example, if I use it as an administrator, I have this one open, and this one, as you can see, instead of saying pen tester, it says, hold on a second, I open up the same one. So yeah, system penetration. Okay. So let me close this and I open another one. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I had both of them were on user, so let me open it on administrator level. CMD. I go to administrator, for example. It says open. So if I do netstat, for example, netstat dash annual like that, I can see what's connected to what my machine is connected and what is established, what is listening. As you can see, there's no connections. And the reason being, okay, I'm gonna do another command to netstat bof dash bof like that. And this will tell you the protocol, the local address, the remote address, the state, and the PID, right? Now this state, since it's nothing connected, it shows nothing. And the reason being is because I have set up in a way that only navigation I got open. For example, let me show you what I got set up. In my host machine, I have these rules. For example, what I did was I blocked outbound and inbound, and so if I do this, for example, like first you gotta reset everything, and then this is to block inbound and outbound. You can use this. This is on PowerShell, for example, and this is to block like executables. You want to use malwares, they use a lot cmd.exe, PowerShell, run l32.exe, stuff like that. So I blocked everything. I blocked all that, and I just left open my navigation. Like it could be Chrome or it could be Edge. In this case, I got Chrome open, right? And I left it like that. So until I open Chrome, it should be no connection. Now check it out. I got this tool. This tool is named System Internal, so they come directly from the source, from Microsoft. So if I do, this is called TCP view. You can see what's connected in the protocol. So let me open it as administrator. So you can see how it is before we go into the greedy, into the nice stuff in Kali. So you can get an idea. Like, so for example, if you go over here, you can see how many endpoints are 47 established. There are none. See, listening there are 20, and so on. You can read the information. It's no connection. But now if I open, for example, if I open incognito tab, for example, in Chrome, and I go, what can I say? ChatGPT, let's go ChatGPT, my friend, my best friend. Let's just say hello, buddy. Hello, amigo. To do it like that, for example. So now if I go to TCP view, now you can see I have 13 established connections. See, 13, but only from this application Chrome.exe, because that's what I have. I have set it up with these rules, so no inbound or outbound. The reason being because since October or November 2025, Microsoft stopped updating Windows 10. So I got Windows 10, so it's no need for me to have anything open. All I need this computer or this laptop is for navigation purpose. So I only use it for that. So as you can see, only Chrome opens, nothing else. Nothing else opens. Even if it tries, it cannot open. Now I set it up like that. Now if I go to over here and I run the command netstat, for example, now you can see I have connections. You see, I have connections, but I have only port 443 open, outbound to which is HTTPS, which is encrypted. And you say, why would I have it like that? The reason being is because even if a malware is inside, everything else is blocked. And if you go to now, if you can go to settings, for example. Now I have to do it like this in my personal. So if you go to settings, privacy over here, you can use you can set it up in a way that is secure. Okay, secure browsing. For example, you can set it up that only HTTPS, and you gotta set it up. If you do that, what I just showed you, you gotta set it up like this. So it's you use secure DNS, and everything goes through HTTPS. So protocol 53 is not open in this case. UBD or TCP is not directly open on port 53 or protocol 53. So what it does, port 53. So what it does is that it goes through HTTPS. So pretty much if it was some kind of backdoor or anything like that, it would be hard for this to go out. Now, if it's really sophisticated, it can do. If you do malware, you can design a malware. You can design it in a way that it can actually go and act as if because it uses Chrome that exe process and everything. But that's another topic for another day. But it could be done. But very skillful individuals work on that level, and anybody can do it if there's a will, there's a way, right? So that's the only reason I do it, because that way I'm in a secure way. So for example, if I had a malware that want to extract information, they call DNS tunneling. So they break the packages, they encrypt it, and they let it go through to DNS, so to their remote server and so on. But it's not DNS, it's data going as if it were DNS and so on and so on. So, and I'm not going to get much into it because instead of helping you, I think I'm going to confuse you more. So as you can see over here, this is the processes, the applications, but only I have established, as you can see, is Chrome, nothing more. If I see, for example, that something was running on service.exe or something with other names, then I should check it out because I know I had it set it up to be in that order. Okay, now that I show you that and that you can see that local, this is my machine locally, and this is remote address where it connects to. This is HTTPS, which is 443. The protocol is TCP, see? And you got UBD. You got TCP B6 and you got TCP, what you call it? B4. There was some terminology for me that is a little complex, so I couldn't start. But anyway, I think you get the message. Okay, now let's go into networking in Calyx, okay? So you can see it more what I'm talking about, okay? Okay, let me open it. So the first command that we're going to use is IPA. This one it tells you what's up and what's down. See, it tells you your IP. This is the IPv4. It tells you I don't know how to say that. This is the IPv6. This one where it says Ether is the MAC address. Okay. So when you do IPA, it's use it to identify your IP, your interface. For example, Ether, WLAN 0, tune 0, and stuff like that. Okay. As you can see over here. Now let's make another one. Another command that you might use is IP or root like that. See. Now this command tells you where the traffic leaves your machine. Okay. Where it leaves your machine. Okay. Your IPs and default and everything. Okay. Now another command that you might like to use is ifconfig, like that. In Linux and in Windows it is ipconfig. But over here is ifconfig. So it tells you also what's connected, okay? This is an older command but still very useful. So as you can tell over here, ifconfig tells me what's and what's not connected also, okay? Like in this case I'm using bridge adapter. And the reason I'm using bridge adapter because I set them rules, pretty much nothing goes out. Even if I go over here on my NAT, right now I'm not using it, and host adapter I'm not using it, so I'm using this bridge adapter because I know I want to have my machine more secure. And for this example, and since I know how it's used or how to connect, I'm using bridge adapter. But for security purpose, when you do your testing and you don't know much how this works, I would recommend you to use NAT for navigation and for updating and everything, and to use host adapter for for your lab, because like that you isolate it, okay? So if you go network setting, for example, so you can get an idea what I'm talking about. Like that over here I got NAT on adapter 1, so I check, right? And adapter 2 I got host adapter only. Okay, this one has no internet, but it gives you an IP. It gives you an IP that you can do your pen testing on. I'll teach you this down the course, but so you can kind of comprehend what I'm saying, or because I don't know if the way I explain, you can understand. So I'm trying to, and this is bridge adapter. Right now I'm using bridge adapter, so okay, let's go. So, and that's how you get the information. As you can tell over here, I was telling you IP, netmask, broadcast, and so on, IPv6, and so on. Okay, this is the MAC address. Okay, now so if config pretty much shows interface status or x/tx packets, errors and stuff like that. So another command that you might be using to test connectivity, it will be using ICMP. So you can be like ping for example, Google. Let's ping Google for example like that. Ping Google, and it will start pinging. I might not have internet because I went to networks and I didn't. So let me stop this for a moment. Let me stop that and let me first of all take it off. And then we're gonna again press on it. So it shows over here internet. Sometimes I even have to restart so in order to. So let's say if I can have ping Google. Okay. Okay, nothing. So let's get this over here. Let me see if I have internet connection. Okay. Now the purpose for the ping is I do have. Okay. The purpose for the ping is to see which host is alive, latency, package is low, attackers use ping for host discovery and so on. So let me ping my router. So ping 192.168.100 for example. See, if I ping that, it's telling me that it's alive. So let me cut this. So that's another command that you can use. Okay, another command that you can use is, so I was telling you this command for example of Google is used to verify if a host is alive, latency, packet loss. Like in this case, you notice that I pinged Google, but it didn't offer me nothing. But let me see if I can ping like this for example. This is Cloudflare. See, Cloudflare, if I use IPs, it works. So let me ping Google DNS like that. See, it works. So in this case, when I ping Google.com for example, it doesn't go out. Okay. So okay, for the moment let's continue. I will tell you that also attackers use ping for host discovery. Okay, so you can have that in mind. Okay, let me cut it off. See, 20 packets transmitted, 0 receiver, 100 packets lost. Time in milliseconds. This way you can tell if a host is up or if it's down or whatever. It's a way of kind of knowing how your stuff is working. Okay. So another command that you might use is arp -a for example, like that. See, we ping and this is the MAC for example. So another one that you can do for example. Now this displays IP and MAC address mapping. That's how they call it. So let's do something that will, for example, list ports and services. So let's do this other command that you will use next for example like that -IP, and it will give you it will show you percent. I'm not routing, not showing me nothing right now. Okay, it shows listing ports and services. Okay, on the command it's used to see open ports, running services, local exposures, and so on and so on. Another command which is more modern, more replaced for netstat is /WN like that. See, UDP. See. Okay, another command that, and it's the first way to list sockets. They call it. It will be manages network, manager connections. It will be another command name mccli, something like that. Yeah, mccli, like that. Okay, tells you the information as you can see. Okay, connected, loop back. Okay. Now another command. These are unavailable because remember I have 3 internet interfaces. I'm using this one over here, which is bridge adapter, but I also had NAT, and I also had the other one, which is host only adapter. Okay, and that's how you pretty much you use this command in order to get information. Now another command I think it was the same one but more like a, hold on a second. It should be like a ncmcli like that, dev status. It's another command. It gives you information also, wire connection, and the ones we already talked about that they are unavailable. Okay, so that shows device status and connection. Now another command that we can use to track packets path to a destination is trace route. So let's see if we can do this quickly. Trace route. Trace route. Right, yeah. Trace route. This is my website. Okay, it tells you over here how many hubs. Okay, that's another command that you can use to map network hubs between systems. How many hubs? You can also do ns lookup. Is another command that we can use. So for example, you want to know an IP of a certain domain. So if you say for example ns lookup, let's use Google because it's a public, right? See, in Google address 192.178.50.78. It tells you, okay, IPv6 address and so on, and domain. It resolves domain names into IPs. So if you're doing a pen test, but you cannot do it through the domain name, you can use the IP, and for that way you can go through it, right? So why this matters for pen testing, okay? See, networking is the first phase of every attack and defense. You use it to discover targets, map networks, identify services, detect misconfigurations, for example, understand traffic behavior, every exploit, scan, MIT or man in the middle attack, for example, VPN, tunnel, or payload depends on networking. So pretty much if you control the network, you control the battlefield, my brother. Feel me? You feel me? So networking is not just cables and IPs, right? It is the nervous system of cybersecurity. So before exploiting a system, a professional pen tester learns how the network breathes, how it reacts, how it connects, right? So we must master the network, and Kali becomes more like a real weapon. So that's what I got for this today's lesson. On the next lesson, we're gonna go through the terminal, and we're gonna I'm gonna teach you how to do, for example, how to add users, for example, through the commands, how to delete them, the groups and user structure, permission and stuff like that. But before I go, I want to tell you about. Remember, I was on the section before. I was talking to you about grep, for example. So if you want to know more about grep, you can do, for example, man grep, for example, like that, and it will opens up the information, all the information you need. Okay, so you just go through it. Any information you want to find. I was telling you, what it does is it could be upper letter or lower letter, so it doesn't matter. It will find you the word or the file that you're looking for, like that. So that's the way that you can get express with. Or you can do you can also do grep dash help, for example, and also gives you the information. Okay, so all you gotta do is dedicate some time and investigate what you want, right? And also on the beam, remember I couldn't close it, so that in beam you can do the same thing. You can say manual. This is for manual beam, and it gives you all the information that you need. Okay, all the information, how it works. This editor is more sophisticated or more advanced because it requires more commands from the terminal, like more commands. But so I suggest you to start more with Nano. Me myself, I usually just work with Nano, but this is also one that you can use because you can personalize. But I'm a simple man. I like to advance as much as I can without trying to learn every tool that is in Kali, because there are hundreds and hundreds. So you can quit that right there. But you can also do beam dash help also, and it will give you the information. Okay, but let's do it like that. So let's say beam amigo. Let's call it amigo friend. Beam amigo.txt, for example, like that. So we open it. The other day I couldn't close it, so this time I'm gonna show you how to do it because I changed it as the keyboard language, so we kind of mess it up. But pretty much it's because sometimes we forget things, so take that in mind. So let's do this. So I'll be like, so slowly, but oh shit. So also right, you have to use I, so it goes over. It will say insert, and when it says insert, you can start writing. So let's say the row is in front of you, player. And now we wanted to exit. You do escape, okay, escape, and then you do these two dots. I don't know how to say this. Two dots over here. You do shift, or upper, the arrow that goes up. Shift, I think it's called. Yeah, shift or what? Shift, and you do the two like that, and then you do W, and then you do Q. W for writing, and then Q for quit, and then you exit. See? Now if you do ls, for example, you got amigo, so you want to cut amigo that txt, for example, and the world is yours. The world is in front of you, player. I think they should be separated, but you got the point. Okay, thank you for watching. If you like it, please subscribe and share it with your friends. This is pretty much something that you're going to be using or will be helpful for you. But the best way to learn something, I will tell you, is to practice. So if you see this course and you find this interesting, don't lose time. Whatever you start seeing, start practicing, applying. And the next thing what I suggest you to do is, when you have more practice, create a small course like this one and upload it to YouTube. One is because when you share and you teach others, one, you practice it. Two, you investigate it. Three, it keeps you in motivating, right? It keeps you in that momentum. But if you just see a course, you can see another one and another one and another one, and you learn and you learn and you learn, and you keep forgetting because you don't practice. I've been learning for years, but since I have a job to do, I have a family to. Well, before I go, I want to tell you something. Talking about more like an example, right? So let me open a server. So let's say Python -m, like that. You can say http server, for example, and we can open port 80. So if you open like this, it will open a server. So if we open another, we can open another one, or we can go over here and open another tablet. It doesn't matter. So you can do this, for example, and then you can run the command I was telling you. You can run you can say netstat. You can run this command netstat, for example, like that, -a, or you can look for another command, also netstat like that, and it will tell you. See, TCP is open and it's listen. Program name Python. Now if you do netstat, like we were talking about, netstat -a, it will show you all the processes that were running. Okay, all the processes that were running like that. So something that you can. That's how you check it, right? Now if we go, for example, now this address is a lookup because this server is in your own machine. So let's open this, and we go to the Firefox, and you can say this. You can do like that, and you go. Pretty much you write 127.0.0.1/ like that, and it will open. Okay, like that. HTTP. So here, this is what we just wrote a few seconds ago. Okay. So you can have an idea how it's working. Let me cut that off. So yeah, guys. So pretty much what you gotta do is practice. And let me cut this. Control C and close this. Let me see. If I think I didn't close. So yeah, keep practicing, brother. If it was easy, anybody can do it. Okay, so you open it. It's very open. Control C to stop. So you can, Now if I go over here, if I want to see if it's open, you will see it will not open because the server is not there anymore. Yeah. See, I'm unable to connect. This is the looper, okay? This is my own computer. Okay, that's all for now, my brothers and sisters. I hope you like it. And if you find value, just subscribe, share. And like I said, pretty much I'm doing this because I want to get even better. And at the same time, I want to find a job, a really, really good job. And in order to do that, you got to really become good. And I have a lot of knowledge. I just haven't been applying it. And I realized, man, I'm going crazy. I got to do this. So when I started doing, so there are a few things that you keep forgetting. But lucky for us, all you got to do is, man, for example, say mmap. I don't remember the commands anymore. So I want to know about mmap and like that. Boom. And it tells me everything. So what's stopping me? Or what's stopping you? Nothing. What's stopping you? Only your decisions. And you got to understand that if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm telling you the truth. Everything that other people can do, if you really want to do it, if you care about it, and you dedicate time to it, hell yeah, you can do it. But obviously you gotta pay a price, right? You gotta put the work. So, okay, until the next one. Peace out. Okay, on this section of the course, we're gonna talk about this will be Kali Linux user groups and permission. Okay, we're gonna pretty much this module you're gonna see user groups and permissions. So first thing, what is a user, right? So in Linux, a user represents an identity that can log in and interact with the system. Every user has pretty much a name, see, the user is a name. It has a user ID. In this case, the user ID of King is 1000. So each user, if I add another user, will be 1001, and so on and so on. Okay, so it has a group ID. In this case, you can see group ID over here. Okay, home directory, home, and shell. Okay, shell. Now, Linux uses users to separate power, privacy, and security. In cybersecurity, users are important because, as hackers try to, as you know, hackers do their thing, steal accounts, escalate privileges, abuse misconfiguration. So in other words, if you don't have no user control, there is no security, my brother. There is no security. So what's the difference between a root user and a normal user? Okay, root, it means full power. Okay, and the user ID is 0, so you have full control. Now, normal users, they are limited, and they start with ID 1000, 1001, 1002, and so on. System user, for example, or for services. So in other words, root can do anything, which is powerful and dangerous. Okay, now commands. You're gonna go through some commands. So if you want to know, for example, you want to see who's the current user, you can go like, who am I? And it will tell you. This is when you do pen testing, for example, or when you're targeting on a computer and you're already in, you want to know, basically you want to know what's your permission level, right? If you're in as a root, then you can do anything, or if you're in as a regular user, then you're gonna have to do escalation. Okay, you have to escalate your privilege. So that's, see, who am I displays the user you're using. Okay, now if you want ID information, you can say, okay, ID like that, and it will give you the information. Okay, it will tell you what's the user ID, the group ID, what groups it belongs to. So it says that, in other words, it's telling you that this user can write, see, and work with these files and in these groups. Okay, so okay, another command that you can use to show who's logged in, you can say, you can go like this, and it will tell you, or it can be W only, and it will tell you, okay, King, you see, from this unit, and so on and so on. That will show who is connected to the system. Okay, so if you want to list all users, for example, you can run these commands, for example, cat/etc so, password like that, and it will tell you, it will list all the users. Okay, accounts on the system, all the user accounts on the system. And we were talking like over here, we were talking about these are users, but I was telling you, for example, that this is my user is King in this one, but this is a user, this is a user, this is a user. So this is my user. So my ID is 1000, my group ID is 1000, my user, and this is my home directory, and this ZSH is my shell. Okay, so what this means, that anybody who has a shell, this is bash, it can connect remotely from another equipment to this equipment with this user. That's what it means. So if you go, for example, like this one, for example, says false, you cannot use a remote connection. So that's how, for example, you can display every user account on the system, and that gives you the information to know which user has shell to connect to remotely. Okay, is information that you might need. Okay, now, and it also tells you a lot of information if you go through it. Now, why create users? Okay, users easily access and improve security. For example, instead of sharing root, each person gets their own account. Okay, so you can create a user if you go like that. For example, sudo user add, like that. Let's say I want to add myself too, so let's say Marlon, like that. So if I do ls user add, did I add myself? No, I did. User, yeah, no, I did not add myself. Wait a second. So sudo user add user, sudo add user, for example, like that. And you can let's say you want to say Marlon, right? In this case, Marlon. That's my name, Marlon. So Marlon, yeah, like that. It tells you how you can, like each like it's explain you over here how you can do it. Okay, so in this case, for example, I forgot to do the space over here. So hold up a second, but bash bin bash add user add. Yep. Bin bash. Oh, it already exists. Okay, so it already exists. So there, I already got that one already. So another one that you can do is create user. This is the most easy or simple, because as you know, we keep forgetting. So this will tell you what to do here if you read it, like how can do the changes, for example. So this is more easier way to do it. So you can do it interactively like that. For example, sudo add user like that, and we can say add user Kali1, for example, like that, Kali1, add user Kali1. So it will ask you for a password, so you write your own password, something that you remember. Okay, again password 1, 2, 3, like that, and it tells you your full name. Just say Kali1 in this case. Then the next, this is for Linux information. You can say enter, and then you just say yes. Okay, like that. So if you do ls, okay, you will see Kali1 over here. Okay, that's the easiest way for especially for beginners, because there are so many commands of how you can do things. Okay, you can actually assign login password and everything. Okay, now you can modify user's name, you can lock user, you can disable logins, unlock user, enable logins. There are so many commands that I'm not going to go through it. But let's say you want to delete user. So let's say you want to sudo delete user, for example, delete user, and we just created which one we created? Kali1. We created Kali1. If you say you want to delete Kali1 like that, okay. So if you do ls, you will notice the Kali1 is still there because you deleted the user, but you didn't delete the directory. So the best way to do it like that is to do it like this: sudo delete user, and then you go, for example, -r, and then you write the name, in this case Kali1, right? And you do enter, and it tells you over here, okay, delete user -r. Okay, now let's do ls. Okay, so let's remove. You can also do it like that too. Remove. You can remove -r Kali1. You can also do it like that. I cannot remove Kali1 permission, then I have sudo remove -r Kali1, for example. And if you do ls, it's not there anymore. Like I said, there's many different ways that you can erase things, create things. So the more you work with it, the more you will get better at it, right? So you just keep going, brother. Keep practicing, and that's how we do. Now let's see. Now let's talk about groups. Groups, okay? Now, okay, let me do this for example. Let's say you have different users and you want to move to another user. For example, you can say like this sudo. You can say su. I want to go to hackers, for example, hackers. Okay, they will ask you for the password. Okay. So, okay, so let's say okay, su hackers password like that. So if you say print working directory, it will tell you that you're using home. What the heck? Yeah. Wait a second. Oh yeah, as you can see, I'm already in hackers. So if I print work directory, for example, I am in root, but I'm already in hackers. I didn't notice that. So I'm in hackers, as you can see. So if you want to go back, So if you want to go back, for example, to the su king like that, and it will be password again. So if you do ls, as you can see, you're already there. So now you can do home, because the other users, they don't have home, because when we create them like that, their directory is not added to it. In order to add directory, you have to do -m and -s. But I'm not going to go into that right now because it will be confusing to more to you. So you can have an idea, okay? So now we're going to go groups, okay? What is a group? Groups allows multiple users to share permissions. Instead of giving access users by user, limit users groups. A user can belong to many groups, okay? So for example, if you want to show the groups of a user, you go like groups, I think, groups. Let's say king, like that. And this is my groups, okay? I got these groups over here, you see? King, I got my own group. These are groups that I can write and modify files and directories, okay? So that's one. So if you want to show all groups, for example, you can do cat /etc/ you can say group, for example, like that, and it will show you all the groups, okay? This is groups, their own groups. I got groups and information over here, see? Okay, now that's for the groups. You can also create groups. So you can create a group like this, for example, sudo group like that, group add, and you can say let's add this one, hackers the rising, like that, hackers the rising 1. So you can add this, for example. Now you can now go and do cat /etc/group, and you can see if it was added. See, hackers the rising 1 over here. Marlon, we created this one, so it's a group there too. And I already have these groups for users I've been creating. Now, how can you delete a group? So you go sudo delete, no, sudo group del, and then you say hackers the rising 1, for example, like that. And if you do cats again, you see it's not there anymore. So that's how you can delete the group, for example. Now you can also add a user to a group, for example. You can add a user to a group. So let me see what group. Let's see, sudo, you say like that, user mode like that, and then you say -a g, okay, -a g. This gives permissions as administrator. So you can do changes and modify, okay. A for append and G is for group, in other words, like that. So user mode, so I can add a user to a group. So let's say which group? Let's say hackers. Let's use hackers, and we can add king. Cannot find hackers, okay. I guess I don't have any more user mode, user mode. Okay, let me use another group. Another group can be, let me see, Marlon, like that. Cannot be found. The thing is that since I was erasing stuff, so let me do this one. So let's be sudo user mode, sudo user. Oh fuck, I be fucking it up over here. Sorry about that. Sorry for the bad word. So that's user mode like that, and I got this one too, like that. See. So for example, you want to let me add it. Let me see if I'm not in this already, like that. So if I want to, since I want to see if I added myself, so let's see ID. Let's say king, and we added ourselves to hackers team, okay? So here's hackers team. So we just added this user king into hackers team, okay, like that. That's how you can do it too. You can change primary groups also, but for the moment I think we're gonna pass to what is permission, okay? Permission define who can read, write, and execute. For example, owners, groups, and others, okay? View them with like you can view them, for example, you say ls/l like that, and you can see that these are my users, okay? So if I go to king, for example, king, and I do ls, I got this, so let me do ls/l like that, and it tells me that in these users I got these directories. The blue ones are directories, as you can see, it has a T in it, and these ones are files within this, like this, for example, they are files. In king, hola, amigo. So for example, as you can see, this amigo.txt, what it means, it says it's a file, and user can read and write, group can read and write, but others can only read, okay? Others can only read. So what we're gonna do is, for example, we can change permissions of owners, groups, and others, okay? So like for example, in a numeric way, you can change the permission. Let's say this where you can say change mod. Let's say 764. But in this case, let's take amigo.txt, amigo.txt, okay, like that. So if you do ls/l, you will see that amigo.txt can execute himself, like over here. Now I can read, write, and execute this file, okay. Now we can do it like that through numeric way, but we can also do it through letters. So let's say change mode. Okay. If it doesn't use, you do sudo change mode like that. Okay. If it asks you for permission, change mode. Okay. Sudo change mode. Okay. And then you say user. If you want to give more permission, let's say we want to give to the group write and execute permission. We can say user. Well, in this case, since it's a group, we can say group plus. I'm gonna confuse you if I do it like that. Instead, just let me take this one over here. Hola or king, for example. Let's take king. So change mode. We can say user plus, because we're gonna give hola hola one dot txt. We're gonna give them because it has already read and write permission, but it doesn't have execute permission. Okay. Oh no, you see over here it doesn't have. It has reading and writing. Group has reading and writing, and others it has read. So you can say, for example, you can be like execute, and then you can put the name. In this case, is hola one dot. No, we're talking about king. Huh? Hola. So king, we're talking about king over here. This file dot txt, for example. If we do ls-l, we can see we have given him permission to execute. We can get them all permissions off. So you can say change mode like that, and you can be, for example, user minus, okay, minus write and execution privilege, okay, on what's the name, king dot txt file. Okay, now if you do ls-l, you will see it doesn't have no more than permission right. So that's how you do it. You can do it also with groups. So let's take permissions out of this one too. So let's say change mode. That's how you can get practicing, right? You can do the normal way too, 6. You can do 4, and then you'll be like in this case it's amigo that txt like that, amigo that txt. And if you do ls, you will notice it has no more permissions of execution no more. Okay, no more execution. It has read and write, and group only got read and like that. Okay, now for group is pretty much the same thing. So you go using words. You can be change mode. It's a group, G is for group, plus you can say for groups, you can take amigo again, as you can see only has reading permission. You can say amigo can write and execute on amigo.txt like that. If you do ls, you will see that this groups can rewrite and execute, okay, while users cannot, and over here others can only read, okay. That's how you do it. So okay, let me do it. And you can do it, like I said, by numbers, or you can do it by letters. So you can just say 644 amigo.txt, for example. And as you can see, it's gone. Now you can do the same thing for others. So you see over here in amigo, others can only read. So you can say change mode for others. And for example, you can say plus write and execute on others. You can put it like that. And then you say amigo.txt, for example. And you do ls-l. You can see that others can rewrite and execute. Okay. So let me do changes in that one too. Just change mode. So you can get used to the numbers, but you can get used to the letters. So like that. Like this 644 like that. And dash l like that. You can see others it doesn't have no more. And how about for this directory, how we do changes? Pretty much the same way. We do changes pretty much the same way. Okay. So about permissions and stuff like that. The idea is that you can, depending on the permission that each file has, you can. This is useful when hackers do privilege escalations. They go over and they see which files has permissions to execute, to write, to modify, and from there they can take control of the system. Okay. So let me do, for example, this. So a directory, for example, if you want to go, for example, you say, let me see that directory. We can be like change mode. Remember that I got sudo already activated, but you can be change mode like that, and you can say 777 to give everything, right? Permission to everything. So you say 1, 2, 3, and cannot access no such file or directory because I put it twice. Okay, so let me go like that, and I do ls, for example, dash l. You notice that user, he can read, write, and execute on this directory. A group can read and write and execute, and so others can read and write and execute. So let's change that to change mode, for example, and we do 66 or 64, for example, like that, and we do 1, 2, 3 on the directory like that. We do ls like that. You notice that it has regular permission again. So that's how you do things, okay? That's how you keep moving back and forth. Let's make a directory. Let's make this, for example. So, ls, okay, cd. Let me make a directory. Do I have a Kali directory here? No. So let's make make dir Kali, for example, like that. So if you do ls, you can see we have a Kali directory. So let's move to Kali directory like that. If you do ls, we have nothing. So we write and we create files. For example, we do touch. Like I got like this, test 1, test 2, test 3, okay, like that. Now if you do ls, we have test 1, test 2. Oh, I fucked up. I did the same number over here. It should be test 3. I can do touch again, and I can say touch test 3 like that. If I do ls, I got them files, okay. So okay, now go back. I want to show you something. Okay, this is Kali, huh? So Kali. Now I can move to Kali, right? I can move to Kali, as you can see. I can move to Kali like that, and I can see Kali's stuff. But what about if we change the permissions, like I was telling you, for example? So let's do a ls-l to see what permission Kali has. Kali over here, it has, as you can see, it has writing, reading, and execution on user and on group. So for example, if I do, for example, change mode, I can do, for example, 66. Yeah, let me do 664 like that, and say Kali 1, Kali. Let me do a ls again, and now you can see that Kali is different. You can read and write. So let's see if I can go to Kali, okay? So let me move to Kali. Yeah, I can move to Kali. It says no. See the Kali. See, it says permission denied because we took the. It doesn't have permission for others to do the changes. Okay. Now, if we can do change mod again, for example, and then we do as a user, we do, for example, 7 like that, 764. Let's put it like that. Kali, for example, like that. If we do ls shell, now we already have the permission. So let's say Kali. See, I can move to Kali, and I don't have no permission denied. Okay, that's pretty much what I was trying to tell you. So let's move back and let's delete. So you say remove. Okay, remove dash or the remove Kali. Now dash or means that it will remove, and it will remove also the files that we created inside Kali, which was 1, 2, and 3 tests. Okay, remove dash or Kali. Okay, if you do ls, there's no more Kali. Okay, so let's just do ls. Kali is gone. Okay, that's how you do changes on permissions also. Okay, now we can use another command name change. We already use change mod, but we can use change on to change names. Okay, to change users, we can do it like that. So let's do change on. So for example, this let's keep working with amigo.txt. As you can see, the user is king and the group is king. So how do we do changes? Okay, we do changes by king. Now let me see. Let's go back. Let's to see the users. So let's use hackers to do changes over here. So as you can see, amigo.txt has user king and group king. So you can say change on, and you can say hackers amigo.txt and not permitted change. Okay, so let's do sudo change ownership. In this case, we're gonna say hackers to amigo.txt. Now if we do ls dash l again, ls dash l, you can see that amigo.txt file, it changes users. Okay, now how can we change user and group at the same time? Let's say okay, let's change king. Let's change this one over here. Okay, now I only got reading permission for the king, so if I want to change it, it will not let me change unless I change the permission. So let's change the permission. Let's say change mod 764. This case will be king.txt. Okay, let's shell, and king has permissions even to execute. Okay, now let's change in king user and group. So we do, for example, change ownership like that, and we're gonna change hackers, and then we're gonna do two dots like this, and then we're gonna write the group. So in this case, we're gonna write the rising. I think I have a group like that, the rising. Okay, king.txt, for example. Oh, I forgot to put sudo, so don't forget to use sudo change ownership. So say hackers, two dots, the rising amigo txt. So if we do ls dash l, for example, we will see that we have. Which one did I change it? Change amigo. I thought I was changing this one, but either way, as you can see, change it. Okay, so let's do also king bracket. Let's do the change. So sudo change ownership like that, and you say hackers, two dots, the rising, and then you say king.txt like that, and then we do ls again, and you will notice that you will notice the changes. Okay, hackers the rising, and yes, indeed, we are in the rising, and those who want to be, they have to rise mentally. Okay, you can do also different commands. You can use a special user commands, like so you can run as a owner, but I'm not going to get that. And then you can do a special group commands, so it runs your file as a group. It could be, there are some commands called sticky beat. Pretty much is about when you want to share it, only the owner can delete it and stuff like that. But I guess that will be for the next episode. So what is privilege escalation? Okay, on the next section, we're going to see privilege escalation is when an attacker moves from a low user to root, for example. Usually goes by bad permissions, special user ID files, sudo misconfiguration, readable binaries, for example. So you can do basic recon commands like check sudo writes and stuff like that. Let me run them so you can. So let me see sudo dash let me see what it has. Okay, matching the full entries for king on king. See, user king may run the following commands on king and so on. Okay, now find SUID files, for example. You can say find. It can be like that. Find in the root directory dash prime like that, and 4000 like that, dash 4000 like that. You can say you can even specify the file, or you can just, I think you can also run it just like that too, and then I don't know what's this called. This is arrow, I don't know. So and then you say /dev /null, and then find path must proceed expression. So I guess in my case, I left it open. It should be closed like this. That's how it should be. See. And it goes through and analyzes and everything, finds binary running as root. And that's how attackers use processes to take control of systems. Okay, let me get that there. You already got the point, right? Okay, now if you want to find readable files, for example, you can say find. In this directory, which is root, find dash writable. I don't know if you say writable or readable. Writable, I think it is. Writable dash type like that. F, and then you say two like this /del /null like that. And let's see what it brings. Let's do this, brother. And there he finds readable files. Okay, let me cut it off. But you get the point, right? You get the point that you can go and find the processes and the files that are readable. Okay, That's how you do it, brother. That's how you do it. Okay, now, if you want to check, like I say, current user info, you just say ID and it gives you the information. So as you know, attackers don't hack systems. They usually abuse mistakes. So users, groups, and permissions are usually the first mistake we all do, okay? So this is it for today, my brothers and sisters. Thank you very much. If you liked the video, subscribe and like and share, And like I always say in every video, pretty much, keep at it. Nobody knows everything, so we are in the process. If you want to find, for example, like I said, you find, you say user mode, for example, like that, user mode. You want to find the information because you don't understand it. There we go. It gives you everything. So let's say user mode, for example, so like that, and it gives you the manual. So it's more on how you want to do things, right? It's more if you really want it. And if you really want it, I'm pretty sure this video you just seen, it helps you a lot. And whatever, you just have to continue learning. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, brothers. Peace out.
Attention all you rule breakers, you misfits and troublemakers, all you free spirits and pioneers, all you visionaries and nonconformists. Everything the establishment has told you is wrong with you is actually what's right with you. You see things others don't. You are hardwired to change the world. Unlike 9 out of 10 people, your mind is irrepressible, and this threatens authority. You were born to be a revolutionary. You can't stand rules because in your heart you know there's a better way. You have strengths dangerous to the establishment, and it wants them eliminated. So your whole life you've been told your strengths were weaknesses. Now I'm telling you otherwise. Your impulsivity is a gift. Impulses are your key to the miraculous. Your distractibility is an artifact of your inspired creativity. Your mood swings reflect the natural pulse of life. They give you unstoppable energy when you're high, and deep soulful insight when you're low. Been diagnosed with a disorder? That's society's latest way to deny its own illness by pointing the finger at you. Your addictive personality is just a symptom of your vast, underused capacity for heroic creative expression and spiritual connection. Your utter lack of repression, your wide-eyed idealism, your unmitigated open mind. Didn't anyone ever tell you? These are the traits shared by the greatest pioneers and visionaries, innovators, revolutionaries, procrastinators, and drama queens, activists on the social scene, space cadets and mavericks, philosophers and derelicts, business suits flying fighter jets, football stars and sex addicts, celebrities with ADD, alcoholics who seek novelty, first responders, prophets and saints, mystics and change agents. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all affected by the way. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all attracted to the flame. You know in your heart there's a natural order, something more sovereign than any man-made rules or laws could ever express. And this natural order is called the way. The way is the eternal substrate of the cosmos. It guides the very current of time and space. The way is known by some as the will of God, divine providence, the Holy Spirit, the implicate order, the Tao, reverse entropy, life force. But for now, we'll simply call it the way. The way is reflected in you as the source of your inspiration, the source of your passions, your wisdom, your enthusiasm, your intuition, your spiritual fire, love. The way takes the chaos out of the universe and breathes life into it, giving it divine order. The way, when expressed by the mind, is genius. When perceived through the eyes, is beauty. When felt through the senses, is grace. When allowed into the heart, is love. Most people cannot sense the way directly, but then there are the wayseers, the keepers of the flame. Wayseers have an unexplainable knack for just knowing the way. They sense it in their very being. They can't tell you why or how they arrived at the right answer. They just know it in their core. They can't show their work, so don't ask. Their minds simply temptation to ignore it. The way stirs you inside. Neurological repression blocks most people's awareness of the way. Censoring all thoughts and impulses from the unconscious is their prefrontal cortex, the Gestapo of the brain. Nothing which violates its socialized programming even gets through. But your mind is different. Your mind has been cracked wide open to the way by some miraculous genetic trait, some psychotropic chemical, or maybe even by the will of your own soul. Your brain's reward pathways have been hijacked. Dopamine employed to overthrow the fascist dictatorship of your prefrontal cortex. Now your brain is free of repression. Your mind free of censorship. Your awareness exposed to the turbulent seas of the unconscious. Through this open doorway, divine light shines into your consciousness, showing you the way. This is what makes you a wayseer. 90% of human civilization is populated with those whose brains are blocked to the way. Their brains are hardwired to enforce the social programming indoctrinated since birth. Unlike you, they cannot break out of this programming because they have not yet experienced the necessary revolution of mind. These programmed people take social institutions and rules very seriously. Society is full of games programmed to keep people's minds occupied so they will not revolt. These games often cause sick fixations on peculiar protocols, power structures, taboos, and domination, all subtle forms of human bondage. This distinct form of madness is not only tolerated by the masses, but insisted upon. The programmed ones believe in rules so forcefully, they become willing to destroy anyone who violates them. Wayseers are the ones who call their bluff. Since wayseer minds are free to reject social programming, wayseers readily see these social institutions for what they are, imaginary games. Wayseers comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Helping those who are lost in these games and refuse to help themselves is the calling of many wayseers. Since wayseers are the ones who keep contact with the original source of reality, they are able to disrupt societal conventions and even governments to realign humanity with the way. The wayseers are an ancient lineage, a kind of priesthood, carriers of the flame, ones in the know. There must always be wayseers to reform the dizzying, psychotic, spinning wheels of society. Giant, mindless hamster wheels obscuring the pure blue sky, keeping humanity shackled in a darkened cage. So wayseers are called to shed light on the madness of society, to continually resurrect the timeless, transcendent spirit of truth. Wayseers reveal this divine truth by devoting themselves to the birth of some creative or disruptive act, expressed through art or philosophy. Innovations to shake up industry, revolutions for democracy, coups that topple hypocrisy, movements of solidarity, changes that leave a legacy, rebellions against policy, spirit-infused technology, moments of clarity, things that challenge barbarity, watersheds of sincerity, momentous drives for charity. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all affected by the way. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all attracted to the flame. This is your calling, wayseer. You found your tribe. Welcome home.